At Centerville, I'm LaDawn Davis. This is ZNS.
Welcome to What's Trending. I'm your host, Stacey Campbell Marshall, and today we're going to delve into a very important and sometimes uncomfortable topic, suicide prevention. In fact, September is globally recognized as Suicide Prevention Month. All month, advocates and mental health professionals will be raising awareness, and we will be speaking with a few here in studio who are joining us today. There is so much to unpack, but we will be right back in just a moment.
Hardware is the helpful place. Everything you need under one roof, from electrical, paint, plumbing, outdoor, barbecue, automotive, lawn and garden, pet supplies, houseware, and seasons. Hurricane season is now here, so for all your hurricane needs, we have a 25% off bargain zone.
Hey, thanks. I would have given more stuff, but I didn't bring my money. I thought this was a club, and I thought everything was free. Finally know what it is now. Ace.
We're located on St. Albans Drive, West Bay Street, open Monday to Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and closed for lunch 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Just like to add a trigger warning. The content you're about to hear is very sensitive to certain audiences. Our aim is to raise awareness and to assist in abolishing the stigma surrounding suicide. We hope you stick with us. Every 40 seconds, the World Health Organization reports a death by suicide. In fact, statistics reveal that more than 720,000 people die annually by suicide. But it can be prevented. I'm joined here by Dr. Sean Knowles, who's here to share more on this very important issue. Welcome, Dr. Knowles, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Dr. Knowles, you know, this is a real subject, you know, and it personally hits home for me, and I'll share that with you, soon. But tell us some of the signs of mental distress that we can look out for.
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing I want to say is that with mental illness, particularly depression, which is the most prevalent mental disorder, it's no respect of persons. So it can happen to anyone in any social class, any race. But some of the key signs that you want to be aware of are definitely if there's a change in a person's mood or behavior. Definitely if you recognize, for example, that there's a change in terms of what they would normally, how they would normally act. They may be socially withdrawn, or they may be using increased substances more than usual. And in terms of our adolescent population, which I'm really concerned about, I'm seeing a lot of our teenage girls cutting themselves, so self-cutting, and our teenage boys using more substances, vaping, marijuana, alcohol. So generally speaking, once you know someone very well and you know that there's a change in their personality, their character, their mood, their behavior, chances are something's going on.
So how would you suggest we approach them? Because, we worry about what do we say, how do we get through to them?
Yes, well, absolutely. So the most important point is to act. In fact, it is a myth. Some persons think that if I talk to someone about suicide, that I may be encouraging them to do that, and we've realized that from research. That is not so, and so it is important to act, particularly if you're close with that person. So not only if you're a family member, but if you're a coworker, and you recognize your coworker is not the same person, it's okay to ask, and you might just want to start the conversation by saying, I'm concerned about you. I notice you haven't been the same. Is everything okay? And as you continue the conversation, it's just important to listen, hear what they have to say. You may not know exactly what to say, but just to hear what they have to say. And of course, once you get to a point in that conversation where you recognize, maybe they are thinking suicide, it's okay to ask, are you thinking about harming yourself? And if they do indicate that, it's important to make time to get them help right away.
Okay. So I told you this hits home for me. Very recently, a friend of mine, very bubbly, great job, seemingly had everything going for him. None of us saw these typical signs of anything, being wrong. And then one day, he literally just decided to, end it all. Had a wife and children. What are some of the ways or things that we should be looking out for when a person seemingly is okay? How do we know?
So depression like I said earlier, being the more prevalent mental health disorder is very complicated. By far more the exception than the norm. There are a few who may not exhibit any signs. I find here in the Bahamas, we're very good at faking it, putting on that smile, the hair, the makeup, the lace front suit, the tie, and we just go and fake it through the day, knowing full well that we're not feeling right. And so just generally speaking, it's just important to show that you care, even with those strong people I call in our lives, and simply asking, you know, how are you doing? Is everything okay? You may never know. They may just decide to indicate to you that something isn't, that's going on with them.
They may open up to talk?
Absolutely,
okay.
And particularly our men. That's a concern for me as well, the men in our society.
There's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. We've been culturalized, you know, that we should not express ourselves. You know, we shouldn't cry. And we need to change that, particularly now with our up-and-coming generation. We need to teach our boys that it's okay to not feel okay and to encourage them to talk and express themselves.
Okay, so what resources are available, or where do we go, you know, if we do need some help?
Absolutely. So, you know, as any nation, generally speaking, mental health resources are very underserved. We need more mental health resources, and the Bahamas is no exception. And so here in the Bahamas, we have the Community Counseling and Assessment Center on Collins Avenue, which is our nation's only outpatient resource center. And if I can be quite frank, I think it's a burden because there's only so many people that the persons there can see on a daily basis. And so I'm concerned about our family islanders. So a lot of times if they need to see someone, they have to get on a plane, buy a flight ticket, get on the plane. If they don't have family members, they have to find housing and try to come to the Community Counseling Assessment Center. So as you can imagine, that can be quite taxing. And so we definitely need more resources. And hopefully the Ministry of Health and Wellness will not only recognize the importance of that, but we can start making more resources available, particularly on our major family islands for all persons, so that they can get the help. And so there's the Community Counseling Assessment Center. Definitely, if it is a case where that person is suicidal, that's an emergency.
Okay.
Get him or her to the hospital right away.
Hospital.
Princess Margaret, Doctors Hospital, the Rand Memorial, right away. And if they're not willing, and you suspect that if you leave, they will commit suicide, definitely as a last resort, you could contact your nearest police and the emergency response services, and they will coordinate to get that person to the hospital.
Okay. You know, thinking about the school environment, we know the bullying, so much goes on. What are things that we can say to our children? How do we get our children to open up to us? You know, what are the gentle ways we can kind of do a check-in, you know, with our children to see how they're doing?
Yeah, oh boy, that's quite a question, and I have so much I can say about that. But I'll start generally, and I'll get more specific. So the first thing I think that needs to happen, we need to have a mental health curriculum in our schools, from as early as the 5th grade, right on up to grade 12, teaching our kids about mental health disorders, teaching them about the science, teaching them to understand, you know, what would happen if we start using substances prior to the brain's development. Education is one of the best ways that we can help our nation.
Absolutely.
And it is my prayer that one day we'll be able to do that. And so with the bullying that does take place, I think it's important for every school to have a policy where they make it very clear, not only to the students, but also the parents and guardians about the importance of bullying, and that will not be tolerated. And so making sure that every kid, because every mind matters,
yes.
You know, teachers will play an integral role in not only talking to students one-on-one, guidance counselors talking to those kids, particularly with signs and symptoms of ADHD. You have those kids who come from broken homes, who may be dealing with anxiety. It is important for our teachers and guidance counselors to have some training to be able to recognize that, and for them to talk to kids one-on-one, and definitely know the resources so that they can refer and help that child.
Okay, good. So September is Suicide Prevention Month, and we want to get as much information out there as possible. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing this information with us. And let's remember that, you know, it is very important to take the time to ask the questions and then to follow through. So we thank you very much for being here, Dr. Sean Knowles. Don't go anywhere. We've got much more after the break. Earlier in the show, we opened up the discussion on suicide prevention as we seek to raise awareness of how you can help mentally distressed persons cope. On the flip side, there are those left to pick up the pieces after someone follows through with the act to commit suicide. Our guest, Deasante Small, joins us now to talk about her experience with this traumatic issue. Thank you for joining us, Deasante.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I know that this is a difficult subject to discuss, and I saw your post on social media, and that's why I was like, we have to get her here to talk, on the show. So tell us how you were impacted by this loss.
Yeah, so it is a very touchy topic. For me, it's been 14 years. I had a friend, a very good friend of mine. He committed suicide. I was 20, he was about 22 at the time. And so for me, it's been a journey. I don't think I've ever publicly stated on my social media about having this loss. And so in recognition of Orange Alert Day, because of the work I'm doing at my main job, I decided to share about it, so that's more than just a photo in orange, but rather a story of what I've seen in my life and what I've experienced and just overcoming that part. So that suicide is just not that thing we try to hide. It's something that we talk openly so that we can help others, let it not be a process that's in vain for any of us.
There's so many things that are, we never talk about. And so, I appreciate the fact that you were willing to, put that on your social media, put it out there to the broader public. And just like this, it opened up a door for us to have this, kind of conversation. So what was that process like? How did you work through, because we discussed that, this was a friend that you weren't necessarily still that very close to, but they still had a great impact on your life. So naturally, there was a process for you. What was that like? How did you work through that?
So the initial, you just knew, I'm 20, I was away at the time. My mom and one of my best friends called me with the news. And so that alone just was the automatic shock and pain of it all. And then when I returned home, it was just trying to navigate not having this person in that space. It's a friend I had for over 5 years, someone that I got very used to having in my life. And so not having that person came with the usual waves of grief. But with suicide came a lot of anger.
That's real.
A lot of times when people look at grief, when you lose a loved one, it's very hard. And if you've ever been through that, you know that there's a process where, and people say it all the time, don't question God. But you do try to wrap your head around, especially when they're young, how, this would happen so young. But then you find peace in that, okay, God decided that this was their season and this was their time and this is their purpose and that's it. But when someone chooses to leave this earth a bit sooner, now you can have that conversation and sometimes you're left without that peace. For me, he didn't leave a note. There's never a message, a text, or anything for any of us to look back on to understand.
So many unanswered questions.
What he's thinking, and so you end up filling in the blanks. And that sometimes makes it harder. Because you're thinking from your perspective, you're thinking from your mindset of this is not something that you would do. But I think one of the hardest things is accepting that mental health is an illness. A lot of times, just as if you have someone who dies from a heart attack or from lupus and all these different things, we do not treat mental health the same way. We treat it as, oh, the person was being selfish or whatever, but we don't know how heavy that was. We don't know how painful that was. And that decision, I believe, is always never to be selfish. That's the piece I found, but rather just the way that they found to ease their pain. It just happened to cause yours.
Right. And we talked about the different levels of grief, the questions that you ask, what could I have done a little different? Could I have reached out a little more? And, we've talked off camera about how in the different spaces, so when you're younger, these are certain way things are handled, and the older we get. Let's talk about now, in this space that we're in, how can we look out? What are some of the signs that you would say that we should be looking out for? And then what are you doing to look and pay attention to your friends?
As an adult, you get to do a little bit more in terms of, you can't hide from me. I could pull up to your home, I could check on you, and let me see you. Let me look into your eyes, let me make sure that you're okay. Versus when you're younger, your friends, you're in your parents' home, you have to, go by their rules. You can't run into their room.
Exactly.
There was a family member who was going through something, and I remember I told them, I was like, hey, tonight you're sleeping in my bed. Because I could not go sleep because I just felt like if you're left alone, if you were left to your own thoughts, this might just be something that makes you do something drastic. And so I just remembered I was doing night watch. I was up, I was praying, I was making sure, but not just that this person doesn't make such a decision, but that they would be in a space around me that found peace and just clarity. And so in those moments, I'm super high on alert. Even with my nieces and nephews, you know, I talk to them, I check in with them, because for me, once you've experienced that, you can't be the same anymore. You just see life completely different.
Deasante, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come and discuss this important topic with us here on What's Trending. After such a heavy topic, we need to lighten the mood, literally, as we take a look at some food that will boost your mood. At the top of the list, dark chocolate. It's rich in flavonoids, which have been linked to increase serotonin levels and alleviate depression. Maybe you want to add it to your morning oatmeal and jazz up your coffee. But remember, as with anything you eat, moderation is key. Next up, bananas. These yellow delights are packed with amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin. And don't forget that they have vitamin B6 that aids in regulating one's moods. Berries, those rich in antioxidants like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries, combat oxidative stress linked to mood disorders. Oily fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines also aid in boosting your mood. And nuts and seeds are also an easy addition for a pick-me-up. Like oily fish, they're rich in omega-3s, just like walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. They can easily be added to any dish. So have no excuse. If you're in a funky mood, grabbing one of these items can definitely improve the outcome.
Keeping you in the know, keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow.
With tongues wagging following the long-awaited cannabis parliamentary debate, President of Green Alternative Investment Cooperative, Terry Miller's excited to witness the bill's potential benefits.
GAIN is looking forward to having licenses in the industry. Of course, we know that several of those licenses are going to require partnerships with international organizations, maybe even down to security, you know, because a specific type of security and transportation, how it is transported, how it is properly secured, growing, particularly in the greenhouse environment where the whole system has to be computerized.
The bills will legalize cannabis for religious purposes by allowing organizations to use it as a sacrament after obtaining a license. It also sets a regime that would oversee all aspects of medical cannabis regulation by including rules for handling and storing cannabis, managing medical dispensaries, and monitoring and evaluating the regime. Miller expresses, however, that the cooperative has its eyes set on taking advantage of all medicinal plants here in the Bahamas.
We want to look at the properties of these medicinal plants individually, look at the active ingredients, because you know there are certain plants for male enhancement plants, especially plants for flus and colds and a variety of ailments that we use traditionally.
He adds that they'll also conduct research on developing more things.
We're going to look at research on products, on developing new products. You know, this is a, even though we are late in the game, it is still a new industry and opportunities is vast. So research and development is still going to be a very high up on the ladder, and we want to be a part of that.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Leah Cooper.
Well, here on What's Trending, we are always going to keep you in the know with what's going on. So we're on the road here at Caribbean Bottling Company, and they've brought two iconic brands together, Coca-Cola and Oreo, and they've created this drink. It is the Coca-Cola Oreo No Sugar, and trust me, it is really delicious. We're going to be sampling. We're going to be hearing about all the exciting things around this limited edition drink. So Jonathan, this new promotion has so many facets. Tell me how these two iconic brands, Oreo and Coca-Cola No Sugar, came together to create this amazingly delicious drink.
We understand that the needs of the consumer change with each generation, and Coca-Cola evolves and creates innovative products that allow each generation of consumer to kind of experience unique product offerings. We partnered with an iconic brand in Oreo and married that with Coca-Cola to create a unique limited time offering from both brands that allow you and your bestie to kind of enjoy a unique experience. So we're excited that we've started local production and distribution of Coca-Cola Oreo No Sugar, and we're excited that our consumers are going to be able to try it. It's available now for purchase in stores, and our teams are out there sampling.
So it does have a musical component. Tell me how that works. How can my best friend and I come together and enjoy this experience?
So going back to understanding the evolution of generations, we are in a very digital environment with the current generation of consumer. And we understand that, so we've added a QR code to the cans where the consumer can scan that with their bestie, and it's a partnership with Spotify. So there's a platform there where there's some questions that are asked about your musical tastes, and you end up with a combined playlist at the end that you and your besties can kind of share together.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Bestie playlist, collaboratively done, yeah. So this will run until the end of the year. So really taste it while it lasts. It's not going to be around forever, and it really is unique. It's when we talk about besties, the celebration of friendship. In a friendship, you usually end up with the best traits from each other, and making each other better. So what we have here is a Coke that has hints of Oreo cookie, and we're really excited. It's available in 20 markets in Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as huge markets as United States, China, Canada. So we're very excited to be manufacturing this here locally in the Bahamas.
So we always look forward to seeing Caribbean Bottling Company doing great things around town. Where can we look forward to seeing you?
So, coming into the holiday season, we're busy. We're always out there, where our teams are starting to now sample on a daily basis. So you should see us at convenience stores, food stores, wherever you would typically purchase your soft drinks, as well as we have a lot of large events coming up. We'll be at Paradise Plates, we'll be at the Baha Mar Culinary Festival, we'll be at Jollification. So, and our marketing team, we're always out there trying to make great experiences for our consumers.
So you're going to taste the icing with a hint of the chocolate cookies with a bursting flavor of the Coca-Cola No Sugar.
Okay, so I'm going to try it. It's really good. I really like it. I can taste the icing, I can taste the cookie, like you say, and definitely I taste the Coca-Cola. This is good. This is good. It's delicious. And then right here on the can is where we scan it.
Yes.
And we can collaborate with our bestie, answer some questions, and then it can create the playlist for us.
Exactly.
You all got to get it while you can, because it's limited edition, and it is actually really good. Look at these beauties. Before we leave today, I want to introduce you to these little flaminglets, the newest members of the Baha Mar family. 8 of them joined the flock recently, and we're told they will all be given names with a symbolic meaning rooted in Bahamian culture and history. We can tell you the first flamingo to hatch has been named Rosie in honor of Rosewood Baha Mar.
Mario.
Hey Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No, let me go check it out.
Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs. Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the sunshine room.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look.
We're still your most trusted source for news and information.
That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
Good to grow, keeping you in the know, keeping you in the know. God, that's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow.
With tongues wagging following the long-awaited cannabis parliamentary debate, President of Green Alternative Investment Cooperative Terry Miller's excited to witness the bill's potential benefits.
GAIN is looking forward to having licenses in the industry. Of course, we know that several of those licenses are going to require partnerships with international organizations, maybe even down to security, because a specific type of security and transportation, how it is transported, how it is properly secured, growing, particularly in the greenhouse environment where the whole system has to be computerized.
The bills will legalize cannabis for religious purposes by allowing organizations to use it as a sacrament after obtaining a license. It also sets a regime that would oversee all aspects of medical cannabis regulation by including rules for handling and storing cannabis, managing medical dispensaries, and monitoring and evaluating the regime. Miller expresses, however, that the cooperative has its eyes set on taking advantage of all medicinal plants here in the Bahamas.
We want to look at the properties of these medicinal plants individually, look at the active ingredients, because there are certain plants for male enhancement plants, especially plants for flus and colds and a variety of ailments that we use traditionally.
He adds that they'll also conduct research on developing more things.
We're going to look at research on products, on developing new products. This is a even though we are late in the game, it is still a new industry, and opportunities is vast. So research and development is still going to be a very high up on the ladder, and we want to be a part of that.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Leah Cooper.
Now for tomorrow's show, we know this one game in its original form can get pretty intense. We'll see what one Bahamian did with his interpretation of Bahamian Uno. Make sure to join us here on the ZNS Network tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's our show.
At the House of Assembly, I'm Lakush Lapinder. This is ZNS.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Here's a look at tonight's top stories.
Alan Dixon steps down as CEO of Freeport Container Port early Tuesday morning. We have reaction from employees straight ahead.
The Prime Minister turns up the heat on the Port Authority over Hawksbill Creek Agreement obligations.
I'm determined to make a difference in Grand Bahama.
And the Director of Education is giving an update on the teacher confirmation process.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition start now.
feels like there's hope, and the people now look ahead with anticipation.
Tonight, we begin with an exclusive story from the Freeport Container Port. CEO Alan Dixon has resigned amid serious allegations. Just last week, ZNS News reported that a team of auditors from the Hong Kong head office arrived on the island to investigate a letter from employees raising concerns about Dixon's leadership. Our Raven Davis is standing by from the company's headquarters and joins us live with the details. Raven.
That is correct. Our ZNS News team was the first to break the story, and just days later, we can confirm that Alan Dixon, the Chief Executive Officer of Freeport Container Port, has resigned. Now, this development follows a detailed letter from Freeport Container Port employees which outlines serious allegations of nepotism and questionable business practices. Dixon's departure comes after some 3 years into the role.
It's as if a burden has been lifted up off of my shoulders. And for the people who work here at Container Port.
Employees of the Freeport Container Port sending a correspondence to ZNS News from the Human Resources Manager on Dixon's resignation. It reads, Mr. Alan Dixon has resigned from his position as CEO of Freeport Container Port and Freeport Harbor Company effective immediately due to family reasons. We take the opportunity to thank Alan for his valuable contributions and wish him future success. While the reasons behind Dixon's resignation leaves much to be desired, in a recent communication, employees say they do not rejoice in his sudden departure, but regrettably, under his leadership, employee morale and productivity were at an all-time low.
Now it feels like there's hope, and the people now look ahead with anticipation of what's to come.
Boy, they don't even know the amount of people quit because of mental and verbal abuse.
We only ask whoever takes the helm remembers that the company's greatest resource is the employees, and they should be treated fairly, with respect and dignity.
The letter sent to various government officials back in August alleges Dixon overspent and appointed his daughter to a position previously held by Bahamians. It also claims a foreign engineer was hired without the necessary work permits and that some government officials allegedly received gifts to expedite immigration-related applications. PLP Chairman, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, now questioning who will succeed Dixon and what steps will be taken to ensure proper leadership and accountability moving forward.
It would certainly be our view from the Progressive Liberal Party that the next step ought to be the hiring of a competent Bahamian who will run the facility and carry out the objectives which the company said it was committed to.
Just last year, the FCP's decision to lay off 20 Bahamian workers at the Freeport Container Port was reversed following the swift intervention of Prime Minister Philip Davis. Mitchell says that's the foundation of the PLP, to stand up for the Bahamian people.
One thing you can say about the Progressive Liberal Party is that they act on behalf of the upliftment of the people of the country.
Now, once again, according to the HR department, Dixon's resignation was due to family reasons. However, earlier this month, an investigative team, including international auditors, compliance officers, and additional officials from Hong Kong, were assembled to further examine company practice. Now, of course, this is a story we will continue to follow. But for now, reporting live from Freeport Container Port for the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Raven Davis. Back to you at the desk, Rumiko.
Thanks so much, Raven. Well, in an exclusive interview last night on the ZNS Rundown with Clint Watson, the Prime Minister spoke candidly about the state of the country, addressing issues like inflation and rising gas prices. He was also forthright about the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the demand letter issued by the government earlier this year. Shalia Roll joins us live now with more on this interview.
That's right. It's the first time that a government is taking the Grand Bahama Port Authority to task. In an unembellished interview on the Rundown with the nation's chief, Davis says that his confrontation to the Grand Bahama Port Authority about the $357 million that is owed to the government is for the betterment of Grand Bahama. Also adding that anything he does for the country is not for theatrics.
I've never been an actor. So theatrics is something that I watch, but not participate in.
In the early 1970s, the nation's chief resided in Grand Bahama, acting as the magistrate on the island, alluding that he knows Grand Bahama and he was able to see the dwindling economy on the island. He says that the city owners are not living up to the expectations when the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement was made and reworked in the early 1970s.
Grand Bahama, through its present ownership today, has failed the Grand Bahamian people, and they have not lived up to their obligations under the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement.
The Prime Minister says that previous administrations did not hold the Grand Bahama Port Authority accountable, but he is here to change that and to ensure that the Grand Bahama Port Authority lives up to their contractual agreements.
I'm determined to make a difference in Grand Bahama because I know of its potential, and I know the Grand Bahamian wants more from what is happening for them on that island.
The Davis administration attracting billions of dollars of investments to the island, and the nation leader says that his team will continue to make Grand Bahama a money magnet. He then questions what the Grand Bahama Port Authority is doing for the betterment of the island.
What is Grand Bahama, the Port Authority, doing? Collecting their license fees, etc. And what else?
Now, there are concerns about the ongoing saga between the government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority impacting investor confidence. Well, the Prime Minister says that thus far, foreign investors are continuing to inquire about making major investments on the island. Coming to you live from the Grand Bahama Port Authority for the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Shalia Roll. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Shalia. Well, it's happening. That's the declaration from the Minister for Grand Bahama as the government marks 3 years in office, celebrating significant achievements. Among the highlights is $2 billion in investments now taking shape on the island, which the minister is spotlighting tonight.
One of the mandates of the Ministry for Grand Bahama is the promotion of Grand Bahama Island for touristic and industrial development.
It's been a busy 3 years in office, says Minister for Grand Bahama Island, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, not only working to promote the island as a tourism destination, but also focusing on the $2 billion in investments that she says will take Grand Bahama to the next level.
Grand Bahama Shipyard, that's a $665 million investment. We have the Carnival Celebration Key project, $600 million. We just had the job fair the other day. There's over 1,500 applications. I think about over 500 would have visited the job fair on that day. And so there are so many opportunities there. Of course, we also have the Royal Caribbean, MSC and ITM development at the harbor. That's another $80 to $100 million investment. We have the $73 million Liverthorne development at South Riding Point in East Grand Bahama.
Significant investments have also been made into the island's healthcare facilities, with a state-of-the-art hospital already underway.
The Freeport Health Campus, that's a $210 million investment. We have Doctors Hospital, that's right next door to us, and they have their $30 million flagship facility. They also have the facility in 8 Mile Rock, so we're very pleased with the investment that Doctors Hospital has done.
Downtown Freeport is also seeing new life with the completion of the Wynn Building, a major boost to the heart of the city.
In the Wynn Building, we have Solomon's. We also have the parliamentary registration as well as labor and the public service. So the government is intricately involved in what's going on downtown Freeport. We also have exquisite yacht, and we do have our airport that's on the way. And we're excited about the progress we're making there, as well as the Grand Lucayan Resort.
These are just some of the investments completed or on track to be finished in the next year. But there's more to come. In Part 3, the minister shares what's next for Grand Bahama. While the Director of Education is giving an update on the teacher confirmation process, an issue that led to industrial action for a managerial union several days ago. Cleopatra Murphy has the details.
95% of teachers recommended for confirmations in the 2022-2023 academic year have been approved, confirmations received and issued, while Director of Education Dominique McCartney-Russell says for the 2023-2024 school year, those matters are being processed.
If an officer has not received their confirmation as far back as 2013, it means that there were some matters that needed to be resolved. And so once we get the matters, whatever those matters are resolved, we are able to advance that performance appraisal and our recommendation for confirmation.
Her comments come as president of the Bahamas Educators, Counselors, and Allied Workers Union, Sandra Major, says teachers have been waiting for confirmations for more than a decade, and the union wants to ensure those individuals are taken care of. This is despite her acknowledging confirmations have been secured for teachers who have completed 1 year, the first time, she says, in many years.
There are teachers who are waiting from 2013 who did not receive their confirmation. So our thing is, we appreciate this, and going forward, it is awesome. But we have to go back and correct the persons that are outstanding, because one person owed money is one person too many. Because that person, it's their livelihood, it's their right. They have worked for it. So whereas we applaud you and say thank you, we will not forget those persons who are now still sitting, waiting. When will I get my confirmation letter? So all we're saying, moving forward, we want those corrected.
Members of the Bahamas Educators Managerial Union did not report to school for a day last Tuesday. Those delayed confirmations were one of the issues at hand. McCartney Russell sheds light on the confirmation process.
Once an officer is hired, they are placed on probation for 12 months. A performance appraisal is completed at the end of that 12 months, and our recommendation is sent to the Ministry of the Public Service seeking confirmation. Once we receive the letter back conveying approval, that information goes to our accounting department to adjust salaries.
As for the union's concerns, the Director of Education urges the Abaco president to present matters that still need to be resolved to education officials to conduct an investigation to determine why those teachers have not been confirmed. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Thanks, Cleo. Well, in other news, a 41-year-old missing man has been located and has been found in good condition. The mother of Meshach Donkey Newton says police visited her home this morning and confirmed he had been located. Newton was first reported missing by police Monday evening after he was last seen at his Strawberry Close home on Sunday night. Police officials issuing a number of all-points bulletin for wanted persons on Grand Bahama and Abaco. Take a look at your screen. Officers need your help in locating these men. Here on Grand Bahama, officers of the Drug Enforcement Unit are busy searching for 45-year-old DeCarlo Roll, alias World Boss, or Vondo, in connection with conspiracy to import, export dangerous drugs. Roll is a resident of number 13 Manton Drive. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 150 pounds, brown skin, slim build, and has a scar on his nose. Meanwhile, Jermaine Alexander Duncombe, alias Gubba, stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighs 200 pounds, light skin, medium build, with dark brown eyes. Over in Abaco, the Divisional Detective Unit needs to question 21-year-old Stephen Seah of Hopetown, Abaco, in connection with unlawful sexual intercourse. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, medium build. Abaco Divisional Detective Unit also searching for 33-year-old Ronell Ifudi, a.k.a. Ronell Jean of Murphytown, Abaco, also in connection with armed robbery. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, dark brown complexion, and slim built. Also in Abaco, police are searching for 23-year-old Cusley Toussaint, Jack Boy of Hopetown, Abaco, in connection with armed robbery. Toussaint stands 5 feet 9 inches tall, dark brown complexion, slim build. Anyone spotting these men, dial police emergency at 911, the National Crime Prevention Office at 302-8430 or 1, Crime Stoppers at 353-1919, 350-3106 or 9, Family Island, contact 242-300-8476.
Still to come.
When we come back, supporters of the Progressive Liberal Party gathering at a local church, giving thanks for the past 3 years. That story, sports, and more when we return.
Hear that? If you listen closely, you can hear the heartbeat of a nation. That unique sound of a great country, pounding with colorful history, a rich culture, and unwavering ambition. When you look around, you recognize its pulse. The people who love to celebrate, who identify with triumph, a people who know how to be our brother's keeper. Commonwealth Bank, built by Bahamians, here for Bahamians, Bahamians helping Bahamians.
Come on down and see what Dolly Madison has in store for you. Renovate and rejoice. rejuvenate at Dolly Madison.
The Grand Bahama PLP Headquarters Benevolent Social and Outreach Committee presents Prayer Breakfast Celebration Saturday, September 21st at 8:30 a.m. at the Belinda Wilson Convention Center, BUT Hall. Guest speaker, the Honorable Reverend Ruby Ann Darling.
Bahama, Wednesday, September 25th. We're remembering Obe with a One Love Gospel concert featuring Bishop Denzel Rowe, The Cooling Water, Oslin Jordan, Bishop Simeon Alton,
I'm pressing on.
West End Primary, Holmes's Rock Primary, Martintown Primary, and 8 Mile Rock High School. There'll also be special tribute. It's a One Love Gospel concert remembering Obi, September 25th at the 8 Mile Rock High School gym at 6:30 p.m. Be there.
Your number one team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. In commemoration of honoring 3 years of governance, PLP supporters gathering at the Church of God of Prophecy, Palmdale, giving thanks for the past while being hopeful about the brighter future. Jolanda Thompson-Everest reports.
Progressive Liberal Party stalwart councillors and party supporters celebrating the 3rd anniversary since forming the government in 2021. The New Day government proud of its achievements from economic opportunities, improving infrastructure to increasing investor confidence. The sanctuary was packed to capacity and praise and worship was on full display. Supporters of the Progressive Liberal Party taking the time to reflect and give God thanks for 3 years in office. Speaking to the recovery efforts and development of the Progressive Liberal Party on Grand Bahama was the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Chester Cooper.
In particular, in attracting record levels, billions of dollars of real investments to the island of Grand Bahama. Growing tourism in Grand Bahama as the fastest growing island in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, creation of beautiful Grand Bahama programs, developing transition homes with the CoLab program, driving the growth of Grand Bahama Island with the Come Back Home initiative, an incubation center for entrepreneurs, and grants for Bahamians.
Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, and Member of Parliament, Kingsley Smith Jr., also speaking to the commitment and progress of the New Day government.
From east to west, the progress we have made is evident.
As we give thanks for bringing us through 3 years, let us move forward together with hope, love, and unity.
While acknowledging the strides of the government, Bishop Barry Morris says there's still more work to be done.
Let's celebrate small victories, but stay focused on the main goal.
The service concluded with a special covering by pastors on the island, praying for the government and the country.
Government in the earth.
Overall, the government expressed that guidance and support is what they need to stay focused on the work that lies ahead. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson-Everest.
And that's Look at Stories Making News. Jay, give us a teaser in sports.
Ramiko, have you ever shot an archery bow?
No, I have not.
Well, neither have I, but our national team is in Jamaica preparing for international competition.
All right, sports is coming up next, but first, there's a check on your local weather forecast.
Is brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
'Cause it's so beautiful.
See news in the making? Call us at 352-9713 or 359-5167, or you can email us at zns3news@gmail.com.
I'm Derek Stubbs.
And I'm Cindy Russell. ZNS 810 AM presents
Grand Bahama. Get ready for the event of the year. Experience a live recording of one of the Bahamas' leading gospel ensembles, Shabbat, on stage with some of gospel's greats, along with the Grand Bahama Gospel Community. Sunday, National Heroes Day weekend, October 13th, 7 p.m., Jubilee Cathedral, East Settlers Way. It's a free event. Don't miss an experience of a lifetime.
But it doesn't stop there. You can be a part of the largest music workshop and coming together of the island's best in creative arts. Register today by scanning here or get an application from your local church. The Grand Bahama Music Workshop begins Wednesday, October 9th at 7 p.m. nightly through Friday the 11th. Sessions for choir members, praise teams, dancers, musicians, sound technicians, and media operators. The nightly sessions followed by a mass choir rehearsal to record special songs at Shabbat's live recording.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm Jay Philippe, and welcome to Sports. First in sports, the Bahamas national archery team is in Jamaica for the 2024 Caribbean Development Championships. The tournament is designed for beginning level and developmental archers, which include a number of athletes from Grand Bahama.
We got some under 20s. My son is in the under 20. I'm in the more senior group, but we are very excited. For me and my son, this would be our first trip.
We have been practicing since May, and every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, for 2 to 3 hours, we're here under the heat. But since the tournament is coming near, we've been practicing almost every day.
The goal is just to do our best. We come out to practice twice a week, and our coach has given us good instruction, so that's all we can do is challenge ourselves.
Next in sports, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, attended the funeral of Coach Will Rutherford. The two had a close friendship for many years. Coach Will was instrumental in the development of many baseball players throughout Grand Bahama.
One of the great loves of Will's life was baseball, as you would have heard. He poured so much of his effort and energy into coaching young people in the sport. In 1986, as you heard, he established the Buccaneers Baseball Club in Grand Bahama. And it was through baseball, and when he became a commissioner on that international body.
Also in sports, results from the 14 and 16 and under junior national tennis tournament recently played at the YMCA tennis courts. Brianna Hallgrave won the girls' 14U title, while Caitlin Pratt was the runner-up. Brianna would also go on to win the girls' 16U title, with Tatiana Madu claiming the runner-up. The boys' 14 and under winner was I.A. Bethel. He went on to defeat Noah Russell in the singles title game. And Aiden Ritchie took home the boys' 16U title over Alex Hooper. Now the mixed doubles title was won by O'Neill Hanna and Michaela McDonald over Deshaun Gardner and Anya Hepburn. And finally in sports, Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty will be in action tonight against the Washington Mystics. And that's your Tuesday check on sports. I'm Jay Philippe. Your Facebook friend of the night is next. Beep.
We all need to save. Save time, gas, and money. Shopping at Save More can help you do just that. Make us your first stop for all your prescription needs and medical supplies. Get all your health and beauty items at the same time. And don't miss our huge choice of snacks to satisfy your cravings. And the largest vitamin selection and over-the-counter relief products. Need diapers and other baby care items? First stop. The new section for makeovers, cosmetics, and beautiful jewelry will make you sparkle for that next special event. Save More Drugs, your more store.
Hey, y'all, what you doing? I'm reading an iVox book from the library. And I'm reading a Vox book. What? An iVox book is a storybook that moves with you. And a Vox book is a book that reads along with you. Ooh, let me see.
The Sir Charles Haywood Library introduces Vox and iVox reading books, a brand new collection of interactive reading technology, the first of their kind in the Bahamas for children. But wait, there's more. We're also introducing Overdrive, our digital library, where you can find books for teens, young adults, and the young at heart, with over 4,000 magazines for people of all ages and interests. Come on, bring your entire family. Swing by and give them a try. They're all available at the Sir Charles Haywood Library.
Hurricane season is here, and the Lucaya Service Company Limited would like to remind you to stay safe and be prepared. In preparation for a storm, we encourage you to 1. Assess your property and all valuable items. 2. Seal your doors and windows and repair any loose siding. 3. Secure propane tanks and small yard items. 4. Check for loose fencing and posts to prevent missiles. 5. Trim trees in advance and regularly to protect your home. Post-hurricane tips. 1. Make note and take advantage of our bulk trash pickup schedule and times. This free one-time post-hurricane service is provided to all LESCO customers and subdivisions in Lucaya. 2. To ensure that your debris is picked up after a storm, please separate all bulk trash in 3 piles: vegetative debris, household appliances, and household furniture. 3. If utility lines are damaged or visible, please contact the appropriate authorities to ensure that lines are de-energized. A team member from the appropriate authority must verify and remove any terminated lines. For more information on bulk trash schedules and hurricane tips, please visit our website and Facebook page. Lucaya, your home, our service. Stay safe and be prepared.
Jade Champagne and The Rhythm presents 102.7 The Rhythm turns 3, and it's a big performance with Taurus Riley live. Taurus Riley live. Oh yeah, the hitmaker, the reggae icon, Taurus Riley live. Saturday, December 14th at the brand new.
Your number 1 team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Kristen Pinder and Dewana Wilson celebrating their birthdays today. Happy birthday, ladies. Hope you both enjoyed. And that's going to do it for us here in the North. On behalf of our entire ZNS News team, I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thanks so much for tuning in. The Bahamas Tonight starts in just a moment.
ZNS News is brought to you by the new BTC. Fiber is here. Faster, stronger, more reliable. Together, we are unstoppable. Switch today.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, after years of stenching, the government gives in. Why the move said to be a win-win for both sides. We have reaction tonight. Also, the opposition's scathing review of the government's 3rd year in office. Hear how and why it believes nothing much has changed since 2021. And a renewed promise of lower electricity prices, the assurance coming straight from the mouth of the Prime Minister. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. The Prime Minister's announcement last night that gas retailers will get those margin increases they've long been after sent operators on a victory lap today. Corval Pyfrom has their reaction to that decision.
Prime Minister Philip Davis using his first live TV interview since taking office to announce Monday night that after years of back and forth, petroleum retailers are being given those long sought-after margin increases. 25 cents on fuel, a 15 cents hike for diesel. Mr. Davis quickly predicting, though, the impact to customers will be insignificant.
Well, the result is that there will be an increase in their margin, both for gasoline and gas and diesel, added to their margin, and it would not have, as I said, the deleterious effect on the Bahamian public as it would have done if we had done it much earlier.
The operators have long lamented that with profit margins unchanged, they were struggling to meet their financial obligations like paying staff, leaving the jobs of countless of workers in jeopardy. Some even feared that they would have to shut their operations down entirely. Simply put, these retailers say without this increase, they just couldn't make ends meet. Today, they were filled with gratitude for both the Prime Minister and their customers.
This margin increase is something that we think is livable and palatable for the motoring public, but also something that will give us the ability to feed our families, to look after our employees, and also to spend the time to try to improve our service level to the public, who are the reason why we can operate.
This is a happy day. We want to publicly thank the Prime Minister. Publicly thank him for all that he has done, all that they have done to make sure that this day happened.
I would like to add my thanks, especially to the motoring public, who was for a lot of ups and downs with this situation with us.
The Prime Minister did not state when those increases will take effect. The retailers seem to think that they will happen in a matter of weeks. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Corvell Pfeiffer.
Now, last night's television interview also offered the Prime Minister an opportunity to assess his government's peaks and valleys since taking over the reins 3 years ago. Devontae Hanna has that angle.
The Prime Minister's not running away from it. While his government has wrestled economic, social, and environmental challenges, 3 years in, he acknowledges more has to be done before the proverbial bell is rung for the next general election.
I think the country is where I would have expected at this point when he took the helm 3 years ago.
As outlined in his Blueprint for Change, the governing party laid out a plan to recover, rebuild, and to revolutionize the Bahamas. Counted among its achievements, strengthening the economy in the aftermath of twin crises, Hurricane Dorian and COVID, shattering 2019's record-breaking tourism numbers and increasing minimum wage. The focus now, says the Prime Minister, is to address the elephant in the room, BPL.
Under several administrations, all has been happening is patchwork. We are intending to bring very soon utility solar microgrids to the country, not just in New Providence, but to the Family Islands.
The development of Bahamian youth, access to affordable homes, the reintroduction of the National Youth Guard, coupled with the introduction of a national free breakfast program, also touted as big wins.
Feeding our children, our young children, to be able to concentrate on their work as opposed to concentrating where their stomach's empty, I think is one of my signature.
For the Family Islands, more than $10 billion in investments locked in, $1 billion this month alone.
I'm not in this for legacy. I'm in this to be able to lift my people up.
Now, Prime Minister Davis says over the next 2 years, he expects more to be done for Bahamians from his administration, including more investment and even more buying for their buck. Now, this is all as political parties get ready to chart their way forth for the next general election set to be held in 2026. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Devontae Hanna.
Oh, that, of course, the Prime Minister's take. The Free National Movement, meantime, unimpressed with the Davis administration's performance. Party leader Michael Pintar today telling the media the Progressive Liberal Party has not done enough, going as far as to accuse them of touting accomplishments the F&M left in place while in office.
We've been out of office for 3 years. No Dorian, no pandemic. And yet this government continues to talk about the F&M when we were in government. And yet they cannot explain what monumental things they have done having not had to face a Dorian or a pandemic. They're not on the same page. They are unfortunately having a fair amount of chaos internally. And so the Prime Minister and the Chairman, as they often do, they're sharing conflicting information with the public.
Pintard also chastising the government for its handling of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, warning that it could shake investor confidence on that island.
So how much more so would the fight between the government and GBPA, the same families, damage the confidence of persons in Grand Bahama and Freeport? And depending on how the government engages in that fight, they send a broader message to investors looking at the rest of the Bahamas as a place where they may come and invest. And so all we're saying to the Prime Minister is be responsible. We are prepared to stand with you and hold the shareholders to account, shareholders who we are on record as saying they need to broaden the amount of Bahamians who are shareholders in GBPA and the related companies. We need more licensees to be shareholders and Bahamians from wherever in the Bahamas to be shareholders.
In other news tonight, the National Security Minister is weighing in on the coroner's decision to have 14 officers appear in court Wednesday for a committal hearing. And this in connection with their involvement in police-involved killings. This number includes the 3 connected with the December 28, 2021 death of 31-year-old Azario Major. A jury subsequently ruled Major's death homicide by manslaughter.
As a counsel, I'm aware that everyone has a right to due process, and that includes the police. And my only concern would be that the law takes its course, that due process is afforded all of the protections that we afford to other people when they're before the courts are afforded to these officers.
Coming up, good news for BPL customers. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. There's more news in a moment.
In the chaos of our daily lives, it's easy to be caught up in the rush. But when you're behind the wheel, remember, rushing can lead to disaster. Don't rush. Take your time. Remember, your life and others depends on it. Slow down, stay alert, and arrive alive. Because in the race of life, it's not about how fast you get there, but how safely.
This message is brought to you by Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
With BGC's crystal clear mobile service, stay connected seamlessly, whether on land or at sea. Our reliable postpaid plans keep your loved ones closer, no matter where life takes you.
Stop whatever you're doing and head to your favorite KFC. KFC is taking value to a newer, crunchier level with our new snack box, packed with 1 piece of juicy fried chicken, crispy fries, and a buttery biscuit, all for just $5.35. When you snack, you deserve to snack responsibly with the new delicious KFC snack box. Order your new favorite deal online with Messenger or WhatsApp Hi to 557-3663 to start your KFC order today. KFC knows value and is finger-licking good.
Get ready to learn all about digital payments and embrace the future of finance. Ditch the old and say hello to new, faster, and safer ways to pay. Join us next week. Check in with your personal bank, credit union, or digital wallet provider to learn everything you need to know about going digital. To learn more, visit us online at livedigitalbahamas.com and on social media. The future of pay is digital. See you next week.
Of the news is brought to you by Bahamas Striping Group of Companies.
You're looking at a live shot of historic Clifford Park with Fort Charlotte in the background. Welcome back. Last evening, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, promised Bahamians that relief from soaring electricity costs was on the way. The Prime Minister even doubling down on that pledge and invited customers to see the difference in their next bill cycle. Well, tonight, Corval Pyfrom reports on residents' reaction to Mr. Davis's renewed pledge.
And we are on the way to delivering to the Bahamian people that which we promised. And we promised that, yes, you will have affordable, reliable electricity in due course.
Referring to the cost of electricity as the elephant that has been in the room for a long time, Prime Minister Davis last night was sympathetic to BPL customers and acknowledged these costs in many cases have been crippling. Relief, he assures, is on the way.
There was a hit in the bill for September, for July and August, but that's now been corrected. I invite them to look at what is coming for their September bills. And we'll see where those savings will be coming. And we intend to continue lowering the cost of electricity to the whole Bahamas.
The Prime Minister's comments got Duke Bodie up early this morning to see his bill.
I found it right now. I can find it right now. That I can be confident. But it means a whole lot for me because I'm retired. So, I'm on a fixed income. So it means a whole lot for me.
Edward Hanna, a small businessman, seems confident the Prime Minister will deliver on his promise.
It means good business. Good things is coming. And then I believe it's coming down.
But for this customer, she's less optimistic about any so-called reduction and says she'll believe it all when she sees it.
I don't think so at all. I live in a one-bedroom, and I'm literally paying about $4 something. I went in an inquiry. They said maybe it's how the landlord wired the place with the rich wire, and that's why. But I don't see no difference.
Later, we spoke again to Mr. Bodie as he was leaving. A thumbs down in this case meant good news for him.
They take off $40.
Well, $40 is a good start, eh?
Yeah, that's a good start.
Prime Minister Davis has said all along that there will be no quick fixes to righting what's wrong at BPL. The customers we spoke to seem to take him at his word when he says that there will be a reduction in cost of electricity. But while they are taking him at his word, they are also watching their bills closely to see when and if it happens. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Corval Pfeiffer.
Well, thanks, Corval. The deployment of Bahamian troops to assist with Haiti's multinational security mission drawing closer. As they prepare, there is, however, the assurance that the safety and security of Defense Force officers is a top priority. Carla Palmer has more.
No one, other than those in authority, know the date and time those 150 members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force assigned to the multinational security support mission in Haiti will be deployed. And officials for now are intent on keeping it this way.
You don't give that kind of detail, as has been shown when one looks at other CARICOM nations who are deploying. There's a command center in a safe zone at the airport that is responsible for the overall command of the mission. And of course, if you're going to have personnel participating in anything, you're not going to want to be disconnected from decision making.
What has been detailed is that the 150 team members will be divided into 3 platoons of 50 persons, with each platoon serving a 4-month deployment for a year in the established command center.
All Bahamians would be aware that we are the CARICOM country most affected by the unrest in Haiti. When there is unrest, migrants flow out. When we had occasion to repatriate by our vessels, which I was advised was a less expensive option, you were still looking at an expenditure in the range of $200,000 to $300,000.
Commodore of the Defense Force, Dr. Raymond King, says those 150 officers chosen will not be going into Haiti's environment blindsided in any way. He says for months they have been preparing, both in knowledge-based and physical training.
They were part of a contingent that were trained by the Canadian Armed Forces, and they would have done some work in Jamaica as well. The thing is, safety is paramount in those type of operations. The risk of casualty or death is quite possible, given the environment and the nature of what's going on in Haiti at this time.
The government has approved an advanced administrative team of 5 persons from the Defense Force to travel to Haiti as early as this Friday. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
Well, a whole lot of digging, ditching, pushing, and leveling this morning as a bulldozer's ripper tore into and cleared away what remained of the historic Renhard Hotel following its collapse Monday afternoon. A nearby dumpster collecting the rubble. Also on the scene, BPL workers in bucket trucks. Designed and constructed by Dr. C.R. Walker and his wife in the 1930s, the Tin Shop Corner Hotel was once the prized venue for weddings, parties, and other gatherings for blacks. Today, it is no more. Well, stay with us. On the Beat is after the break.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Folk Call Smart Pass, the smart way to pay at the pump.
A decade ago, the Bahamas Striping Group of companies was birthed out of a passion to change the way we travel. From only a $5,000 grant, the tenacity and work ethic has propelled BSGC to one of the leading road management companies in the Caribbean. We pride ourselves on going the extra mile where others won't, through the use of our state-of-the-art equipment and our certified team. Although the success is commendable, the road has been long. Yet, the mission continues in striving to be a world-class organization ran by Bahamians for Bahamians. With the help of our experienced and hardworking team, we at the Bahamas Striping Group of companies are committed to making a difference, one road at a time.
We at Candid Security offer a varied range of security services, including guard service. We do armored service, we do pre-employment investigation, background checks, also vet people for employment. A live business hosted PBX is extremely important to our operation. I don't have to be in my office. I can easily get connected with our clients, my vendors, my NASA office, and with our employees in the field, anytime, anywhere.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station. Open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Welcome back. It's time for On the Beat, and tonight it's all about better business with Fern Carey.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in the Bahamas, with new opportunities constantly opening up for potential business owners. A number of factors are necessary, however, for a business to thrive in the national and global arena, with industry insiders highlighting improved access to funding, being able to identify great opportunities in the business arena, and effective mentorship programs as key. Here's Edison Sumner, principal of Sumner Strategic Partners.
So if we can improve upon the mentorship program, providing more facilities for entrepreneurs to be trained in business management, right? Simple things to do with bookkeeping and accounting, etc. But I believe that if we can provide those kind of facilities to further enhance the level of preparedness for entrepreneurs, not only to access financing, but how to manage a business after they would receive those fundings for the businesses.
Sumner said entrepreneurs who need more support and intervention can tap into the Small Business Development Center.
So before we had the SPDC in place, every small business pretty much had to fend for itself, right? Go find your own money, find your own mentors. We didn't even know what mentors were.
Now, businesses are also being urged to partner with the center and also to help deepen the level of service.
We have
over 2,000 funded clients, 2,140 if I was to be exact. So that pool of clients receive our economic impact survey every month. Today, in terms of the level of respondents, it's shy over 300, right?
Yeah.
So that's a sample size.
Right.
So we could speak to what's happening just based on that, what I would call a small sample size.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
Well, Don and Marcellus joins us live with a preview of our very new show, Access Now. Guys?
Makusla, guess what? We have all things Bahamian put into a coloring book, and you probably may see something familiar like sports, right, Marcellus?
Hey, if it doesn't have sports in it, it's not worth having. That's what I'm saying.
Well, stay with us. Our feature story is up next.
Tourism today. Bahamas tourism today.
For the past 3 years, it has been my distinct honor to have carriage over the Ministry of Tourism Investments in Aviation. Through the hard work and dedication of the many members of our team, we've seen tourism come roaring back after successfully navigating our way out of the pandemic to hit record levels in air and sea arrivals, welcoming nearly 10 million visitors last year. We've canvassed the globe from Latin America to Europe, the Middle East, the United States, and Canada, and we have seen that investment pay off with more routes, more flights, more visitors, and more foreign direct investments worth over $10 billion. These investments will support our strategy to double our hotel room inventory over the next 5 to 7 years. These partnerships have also helped us bolster the Tourism Development Corporation to fund critical infrastructure and to empower Bahamians. Here at home, we have undertaken the largest investment in our aviation infrastructure in the history of our nation with the Family Island Airport Renaissance Project. We started with the opening of Great Harbour Key Airport, building the airport in Ragged Island. We've also set in motion the new Bimini International Airport, Grand Bahama International Airport, the North Eleuthera International Airport, and we will complete the Exuma International Airport and many others. Importantly, we also launched the Tourism is Everybody's Business campaign to remind Bahamians that our #1 industry affects all of us. These are only a few of our accomplishments. We have much, much more to do, but this, the 3rd anniversary of this administration's tenure, should make us all proud of the work we've done.
People are going crazy for Popeyes around the world. Some have camped out for hours just to try our delicious chicken. This guy stocked up on 300 crunchy, juicy chicken sandwiches, just in case. And these lovebirds celebrated their wedding with the Popeyes cake. For real. We get it, y'all chicken lovers. Because we're just as crazy to marinate our chicken for 12 hours and make every piece by hand. That crazy love, we love.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Hi, I'm Brent Burrows, Vice President of Retail and Sales at CBS Bahamas and the CBS Pro Store. Not only do we guarantee the best prices on all your favorite building materials, but we're proud to offer the best delivery program in all of Nassau. Whether you buy 1 box of screws or a truckload of plywood, island-wide delivery is just $5. And for our Family Island customers, we're proud to offer complimentary drop-off to the mailboat of your choice. Visit us today at the CBS Pro Store on Robinson Road and check out our website to set up your next delivery.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
What are we gonna do? We forgot your daddy's birthday. He's in Eleuthera and we're all the way in Nassau. You got it? Okay. Yes, you're right. Eleuthera for the
no problem.
A need fulfilled after being forced off the scene some years back. A refurbished adult daycare is back on its feet, ready to cater to dozens of seniors. Our Danielle Dean reports.
The outbreak of COVID-19 back in 2019 resulted in St. Matthew's Senior Citizen Daycare being closed down. But 5 years later, they are happy to announce that it's reopening. A combination of past years' experience and public response taught Sylvia Forbes, chairperson of social outreach at the church, the significance in centers like this one.
Huge demand, and the reality is, at this point in time, we are the only facility that does this type of work right now. Before COVID, there were two of us, St. Joseph's, the Catholic Church, and us. Basis, persons asking, requesting information on how to go about becoming a part of the St. Matthew's Senior State.
And according to Forbes and committee member Claudette Alland, relatives offer up a multitude of reasons.
They have to work. Yeah. So they would drop them off on the way to work and then pick them up when they get off. And they have a great time. They have a great time here.
Because sometimes people I'm taking care of a senior at home, and today I want to go out and get my nails done, my hair done, and then I want to do some shopping. So what do? I don't have a housekeeper.
The center's reopening comes at a time when Parish Rector, Father Basil Tynes, sees the neglect of senior citizens as a serious concern in the Bahamas.
The opportunity to basically interact with persons, to keep their minds active, because we have a lot of things going on in our society, including dementia and Alzheimer's.
The Church Street Center has the capacity to comfortably care for 15 to 18 seniors. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
And that does it for the National Report, but stay close. The Bahamas Tonight continues with Access Now.
Together in our efforts to grow agriculture in the Bahamas and to achieve what we have determined to be our vision of 25 by 25, which simply reflects the fact and the initiatives we have in place to try to reduce our food import by 25% by the year 2025.
We're also proud of ourselves as a visionary nation, as a visionary people. The President Xi Jinping is also regarded as a visionary and insightful world leader. We also set targets for ourselves.
Good to grow, keeping you in the know, keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
With tongues wagging following the long-awaited cannabis parliamentary debate, President of Green Alternative Investment Cooperative Terry Miller's excited to witness the bill's potential benefits.
GAIN is looking forward to having licenses in the industry. Of course, we know that several of those licenses are going to require partnerships with international organizations, maybe even down to security, because a specific type of security and transportation, how it is transported, how it is properly secured, growing, particularly in the greenhouse environment where the whole system has to be computerized.
The bills will legalize cannabis for religious purposes by allowing organizations to use it as a sacrament after obtaining a license. It also sets a regime that would oversee all aspects of medical cannabis regulation by including rules for handling and storing cannabis, managing medical dispensaries, and monitoring and evaluating the regime. Miller expresses, however, that the cooperative has its eyes set on taking advantage of all medicinal plants here in the Bahamas.
We want to look at the properties of these medicinal plants individually look at the active ingredients, because you know there are certain plans for male enhancement plans, especially plans for flus and colds and a variety of ailments that we use traditionally.
He adds that they'll also conduct research on developing more things.
We're going to look at research on products, on developing new products. You know, this is a even though we are late in the game, it is still a new industry, and opportunities is vast. So research and development is still going to be a very high up on the ladder, and we want to be a part of that.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Leah Cooper.
Devontae Heiner is live on the scene as the saga continues with the Valley Boys. This time, the JCNP weighs in on it. The details straight ahead.
Plus, the Minister of Health gives the rundown on PMH and the goals of his ministry. Stay close.
And the PLP celebrates its 3rd anniversary in governance. What is its record like?
And coming up in sports, local softball championships start tonight, or will they?
Tonight, Access Now starts now.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall.
And I'm LaDawn Davis. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, Access Now.
And amazing first night, LaDawn.
Yes, I'm excited about tonight's show. Positive feedback yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to have a great show this evening.
Good stuff. Let's get straight into news. And here's how we start things off. The JCNP calling a presser late this afternoon to address the ongoing saga of the Valley Boys. Devontae Heiner is live on the scene. Let's get the latest on this situation. Devontae?
It's case closed here today as the JCNP reaffirmed its position that the Valley Boys, led by Brian Adderley, will go down as the group that will represent the group in the A division. Of course, the Valley Boys, led by Trevor Davis, will go down as a fun category. And the JCNP making clear today that they're not making that decision because they're siding with either the factions. Dion Miller, the chairman of the JCNP, said that decision was solely made off of the rules. According to the statement that was made today here, the group led by Trevor Davis did not apply for membership in the JCNP, and the Junk Canoe Parade registration application submitted on behalf of that group was rejected by the JCNP as it was outside of the deadline. Now, of course, this spot has been going on for over 2 years, and of course, it just came to light within the last few months here, where we saw Trevor Davis said that he registered the group as an NPO first, with the Registrar General's Department, and also we saw where the world-famous Valley Boys would have registered the group after that. There's been reports that the world-famous Valley Boys did not get that name, and that registration was rescinded. Of course, the Dion Miller and the JCNP, as well as their legal counsel, Kyle Quincy Parker, said that they cannot confirm that. And of course, at this time, they say that this is behind them, and what they're going to do is focus now on ensuring that they have the best possible parade going into the 2024-2025 Junk Canoe season. And one of the top issues that they're going to address is ensuring that they can find more seats for people, even though they said that Junk Canoe has outgrown Bay Street. But of course, another point that was discussed today was the fact that Trevor Davis seemingly got $30,000 as a fund group, which raised the eyebrows of some Junk Canoers and even the JCNP itself. And they did say that this decision fell out of the jurisdiction of the government. And again, they made clear that the JCNP did what they had to do, that is, according to the rules of that organization. We'll have more on this story in a later report in the Bahamas Tonight at 11. LaDawn Makushla, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Devontae.
Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Devontae. Some good live reporting there. Well, the health minister is tonight touting the success of his ministry's quest to reform health care in this country. Topping that list of progress is work to begin on a new hospital right here in the capital. Danielle Dean was at the ministry's administrative conclave with the story.
Preparations underway for the country's $290 million specialty hospital intended to cater to the needs of women and children, according to Health and Wellness Minister, the Honourable Dr. Michael Darville.
I encourage anyone to go to the site, and you will see the high part of the site. The elevation is somewhere between 17 feet. I assure the Bahamian people that sewage and flooding mitigation will be an integral part of the construction. Well, you know, I don't want to give an exact date with when we would break ground, but if you were to look at the feasibility study, you would see that the responsibility of the government is to prepare the land for the construction process.
With the Progressive Liberal Party marking its 3-year anniversary in office since the 2021 election, Darville shared his belief that according to his administration's blueprint for change, the Ministry of Health is on track to fulfill all promises made to the Bahamian public.
We are on target to deliver what we say we would deliver in this term in office. We are at the 3-year point. I still have 2 years. As you can see, I have a conclave now where I'm addressing the need to improve quality healthcare services, as well as to provide better medical outcomes for Bahamians who utilize the public healthcare system.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
Now, yesterday, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, maintained there is much to be done in the country, but said he was pleased with where the country is 3 years after being elected to office. The Davis administration won the 2021 election 32-7, pledging to rebuild, recover, and revolutionize the Bahamas. That was still grappling with the loss dealt by Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic. He says his goal is to ensure the economic stability and safety of Bahamians everywhere.
And immediately, we rolled up our sleeves and we went into recovery mode. Now, recovery was not the final destination because, in my view, and having observed what's been happening over the many years to the Bahamas, that was not the final destination because we recognize that over the past several years, Bahamians were still being left behind, even though the economy was sometimes good, sometimes bad, but it was still not working for all Bahamians.
Meantime, the leader of the opposition, Michael Pintar, told reporters during a press conference that the Free National Movement is not satisfied with the work of the Progressive Liberal Party, arguing there's not much to be proud of. This as he revealed the party is already on their way to election.
Not only the rest of Bahamians, but PLPs, who we are concerned about, cannot celebrate 3 years later because there's very little to celebrate. The wages of Bahamians are tight. Some would say dead tight. Their cost of living is up. Some would say way up. And their sense of optimism about the future is down. Many would say way down. They've not made doing business easier in this country.
And still to come, Deandra Dean is ready to tell us about her new Bahamian coloring book.
You're watching The Bahamas Tonight. Access now.
Once I had a girl, she called me pain. Left me in the cold and pouring rain. So I decided to put her down. I took a trip to Point Town.
You've got termites and need to get rid of them fast? Trust Rentokil Initial. With over 60 years experience in the Bahamas, the global brand, training, and expertise can't be beat. Only Rentokil Initial gives you a 3-year warranty and payment plan options on termite fumigation. No one can match the range of treatments we offer, such as fumigation, pre-construction treatments, termite monitoring, and more. No matter where you are in the Bahamas, we will come to you. When it comes to complete termite eradication, there's only one name, Rentokil Initial.
Fuel's the difference. Ruby Ultra Tech in your car. Fill up with Ruby's Ultra Tech. Spend less and go far. Fuel up with Ruby's Ultra Tech. Get the most out every ride. Just watch your car perform with the best fuel inside. Fuel up with confidence in every mile. Get Ruby's Ultra Tech in your tank and drive with a smile. Watch your car perform with the best fuel inside. Fuel the difference.
future tech.
The most important thing in life is family, and whenever you need reliable advice, you look to the people you know you can trust. At J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, we earn our clients' trust every day. Whether it's home, motor, travel, or commercial insurance, we've got you covered. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
And you're looking at a quay just off Saunders Beach in New Province. Beautiful scenery here. Absolutely gorgeous, as a matter of fact. And the storm-ravaged island. The storm-ravaged island of Abaco making a big recovery following the 2019 devastation of Hurricane Dorian. Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco, John Pinder, telling Access Now that recovery has been great and the island is on its way back. Now, Pinder.
Abaco is doing very well, particularly in Central and South Abaco, which is the economic powerhouse of Abaco. We had a really, really good tourism season, and we're looking forward to even a stronger tourism season upcoming. As most would know now, today, by this time of year, is off-season, where a lot of the restaurants, resorts, and marinas, they do some minor repairs and get things in order for the influx of the upcoming tourist season. But in terms of economy, Abaco is booming. It is really coming back with a great stride.
All right, so there you go. And Pinder is also a parliamentary secretary for tourism. He's excited about the high numbers that this sector has seen for Abaco and what it means now for the island's future.
This year so far is over 13% from last year, and this upcoming tourist season looks to be even better. As I speak with the marinas and the hoteliers, they are telling me that the bookings are strong. So we're looking for a very positive year in Abaco, and the ongoing reconstruction from Dorian is going quite well. Some communities are a bit further along than others, but that's to be expected, and other we can do great things. So looking forward to continuing strong economy, and very happy to see Treasure Key finally sold, and that is an integral part of Abaco's tourism economy.
All right, thanks a lot. Now, Deandra Dean is in studio tonight, and I hope that the kiddies are up as she's created a Bahamian coloring book just for them. Deandra, welcome to the Bahamas tonight as we go over to LaDawn Davis, who's standing by with just that young lady.
I know your tongue is a bit tied, Marcellus, but that's all right. Deandra Dean is here on the Bahamas Tonight Access Now. Deandra, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, LaDawn.
Talk to us a little bit about who you are and the inspiration behind, I guess, putting this Bahamian coloring book together.
Okay, well, I am Deandra Dean. I am an educator with over a decade of experience, a mother of 3, and now the author of Discover the Bahamas, Colorful Pages of Bahamian Pride. So I was inspired to create the book because my daughter needed a coloring book for school. And I wanted her to have something that she could connect with a heritage, because I am, as an educator, I am an advocate for having Bahamian content inside of the schools. And so I wanted her to be able to connect with her heritage, and so I couldn't find anything. So I decided to create this coloring book so that it would fulfill that gap that she needed.
And how long did it, I guess, take for you to put it all together?
Well, to be honest, it took the entire summer. So it is indeed a labor of love. And so, yeah, I'm very proud of the work, and she's excited about it. So
I know it's a pretty thick book. Talk to us a little bit about, or describe for our viewers some of the contents of what's inside the book.
Okay, well, again, as an educator, I know that she would have had to have been exposed to the national symbols. So that is included, as well as Bahamian currency. I know in terms of the dime and sorry, not the dime, that's the American term that we use, but in the schools we teach both the dime so that the children would know the value. And so I wanted her to be exposed to the Bahamian 10 cent. So you would have the currency as well as native fruits, We have some native animals in there, historical sites. So it's just Bahamian jam-packed.
And how were you able, I guess, to select or pick some of the images that's inside this book?
Well, I thought about everything that made us Bahamian. So, for example, our Bahamian soda is the Bahamas Gumbe Punch. So that's one of the things that is in there, as well as the Nassau Grouper. So everything that just, and of course, John Canoe, how could I forget, right?
Yes.
So all of those things are in there for not only her, but for small children to connect with and just feel a part of their heritage.
I know based on the video that we're showing our viewers, how popular can you say that this book is? I know you haven't launched it just yet.
Not just yet.
But tell us how.
Okay, well, what happened when I showed the book to her teacher, it was rave review. She wanted to know how she could get a copy, and then I started to share with my educator friends, and they were like, you have to have mass copies for us, because they wanted to use it as a resource, as well as something that they could be able to put in the hands of children. So it's not as popular, but they've been making a lot of, they've been very excited about it, and so it's been a good response. And so I would definitely say it's something that is very exciting.
And I know after our broadcast this evening, you're probably going to get a few calls, or, you know, to get, I guess, for parents to actually get this book. Are you interested in, I guess, putting it to the Nassau Cruise Port or in our schools, perhaps?
Most definitely. I would like to partner with the Ministry of Education to put Bahamian content inside of the schools, even the Tourism Board, and anyone who is an advocate for putting this type of content so that our future leaders are able to connect with their heritage. Because like John Dewey says, a famous educator, children learn by doing. And so I am definitely an advocate for that.
And then the big question, when are you going to officially launch your book?
Well, in a few weeks, we plan to have an official launch. And if you follow the Facebook page, Dreamers and Doers Publications, there will be updates for children to be able to interact with the book. Maybe some competitions will happen, because we want those pages to come to life. It is colorful pages of Bahamian pride, so we're really looking forward to that.
Deandra, it's so good to have you on the Bahamas Tonight Access Now. It's always a pleasure, and we hope to hear back from you soon.
Thank you so much, LaDawn.
Well, we're going to go to the break, but just before we go to that break, Marcellus has a look at what's coming up in sports.
All right, thanks, LaDawn. Well, coming up in sports for tonight, Anton Richardson continues to do some good things from the baseball standpoint. Details ahead in sports.
We're all united together in our efforts to grow agriculture in the Bahamas and to achieve what we have determined to be our vision of 25 by 25, which simply reflects the fact and the initiatives we have in place to try to reduce our food importing by 25% by the year 2025.
We're also proud of ourselves as a visionary nation, not a visionary people. President Xi Jinping is also regarded as a visionary and insightful world leader. We also set targets for ourselves.
Well, welcome to your ZNS Total Sports Check, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The old saying goes sooner or later. Well, for the New Providence Softball Association, it's been more about the later. That's because they've been trying to start their New Providence Softball Association men's and ladies championships since last week. Mother Nature, though, has had different ideas. Rain has caused the start of those playoffs and championships to be pushed back continuously, including tonight, where they were supposed to have the ladies game at 7:30 and then the men following right after. Right now, the New Providence Softball Association is hopeful that they'll be able to get those championship series started on Thursday. Of course, that is, weather permitting. We'll see Mother Nature. She's been very fickle as of late. Shifting to baseball, where former Major League Baseball player turned coach Antoine Richardson continues to have an impact on the sport. Richardson has been a mainstay as the first base coach for the New York Mets. They're currently in a fight for the spot in the upcoming Major League Baseball playoffs. Our Amazon knows we'll have the full story as we hear from Richardson himself in our 11 o'clock newscast. And that's it. Your check on sports for you here on this Tuesday, our Tuesday weather forecast is just ahead. Stay with us.
We have more than anyone else. We are the most. We are news leaders, and credibility is the order of the day.
Why don't you come to the most? Only the Sun can cover you better than our new digital product with exclusive stories and entertaining content.
We are the most. Community TV page and radio community announcements. The most viewers and listeners in the country.
We have the most years of Bahamian history recorded. There's no archive like ours.
I came back home to bring you even more news and local programming. We're simply the most, the new ZNS.
Hey everyone, it's your boy Vontae, and welcome back to another episode of The Drop. Keep going.
2 minutes to airtime. I came back home to make sure you have the most in news and entertainment. We're simply the most.
And I came back home to make sure that you have the most in information, education, entertainment, and inspiration. We're simply the most. The new ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No. Let me go check it out. Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs. Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the sunshine one.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look. We're still your most trusted source for news and information. That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
It's time now for our Access Weather Forecast radar showing those showers that were dumped over the northwestern Central Islands are now moving offshore over the open waters, but there's another area just off the Florida coast heading towards Grand Bahama, West End in particular, so they will be experiencing some thunderstorms in a very short order. Outside of our studios, mostly cloudy, temperature 80 degrees, relative humidity 84%. We have northeast winds at 4 miles per hour. Your barometric pressure 1,048.0 millibars, that's 29.94 inches. And your temperatures around the islands, 76 in Marshall, Abaco, Greentown, Key, Freeport, Grand Bahama at 79, 80 degrees in the Berry Islands. Allenstown, Bimini at 85, over in Harbour Island, 82 degrees. Rock Sound, Eleuthera, 78. 79 in Fresh Creek, Central Andros, Camp Space on Andros at 82. Also, Black Point, Exuma reporting 82 degrees. Picking up some 79s in Otterstown, Cat Island, San Salvador, and Rumkey. Georgetown, Exuma, a little warm at 83 degrees. 85 in Ragged Island, Clarence Island, Island, and Crooked Island. Betsy Bay, Megwana, 84. Atkins, 84. Matthew Tiny, Nagua at 86. And the Turks and Caicos Islands at 85 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Alive Business, where you're always protected during the worst storms. For the Northwest, And Central Islands through Thursday, light and variable winds once again with flat seas. High tide 7:59 this evening. Another high tide at 8:25 tomorrow morning. Now for the southeast bombers right into Thursday, the winds are going to be southeast at 10 to 15 knots and the wave heights 2 to 4 feet. That's going to do for your boat forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they're brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. And that's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But we get right into our forecast. In the tropics, we have the remnants of Gordon, which is drifting towards the west. It will eventually turn towards the north, and some re-intensification is expected of that system. Another area we're looking at, and this will happen between the 27th and the 22nd, this area, we anticipate some kind of development taking place here, and we'll keep our eyes on that and keep you posted of its development. This will be the forecast track of the remnants of Gordon, re-intensifying, becoming a tropical storm once again on Thursday. The good news is it will remain out to sea. And our satellite pictures stirring all of that wet stuff now, moving towards the west, but another area over western Cuba that will be moving our way over the next 24 to 36 hours. Our forecast for tonight, partly to mostly cloudy and warm, a thunderstorm in parts of the area this evening, followed by periods of light rain. Tomorrow, a couple of morning showers, otherwise a considerable cloudiness with your high temperature getting up to 87 degrees. And the extended weather forecast, the wet stuff with us right through the week. So keep those umbrellas very handy to keep yourself protected from these rainstorms.
All right, good stuff there, Basil. Well, the clouds continue to come in. Looks like we're going to have that wet stuff going on for a little while longer.
But like I always say, the sun will have to come out at some point. And speaking of sunny, let's check in with our social media expert, Matea Cunningham, to find out what's trending.
Welcome to Access Now's social media segment, Let's Talk Socials. Whether you're into the latest memes or breaking influencer news, we've got your social media fix covered. Today, we're diving into the world of micro-influencers. But first, what exactly is an influencer? Influencers are folks who have a strong presence on social platforms like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or Twitter, now known as X, and they often team up with brands to promote products, services, or causes. Now, hang with me here. There are 4 main types of influencers based on follower count: nano, micro, macro, and mega influencers. Lately, brands are shifting their focus from big-name celebrities and macro-influencers to micro-influencers. These are the creators with follower counts between 10,000 and 99,000. They're gaining traction because they usually have higher engagement rates and more genuine connections with their audience. Plus, micro-influencers are often more budget-friendly, making them an appealing option for businesses with smaller marketing budgets. What do you think? Are influencers with over 1 million followers losing their edge? Can anyone become an influencer and land brand collaborations? And are the big brands turning to micro-influencers for their authentic audiences, or just because they're more budget-friendly? We want to hear from you. Head over to our digital platform and cast your vote in our poll. Share your thoughts and let's talk. So, if you're an influencer looking to partner with high-end brands, now's your time to shine. I'm Matea Cunningham, and that's a wrap on Access Now's social media segment, Let's Talk Socials.
And what do you know, it is indeed a wrap. It's time for us to get on out of here, Ladonna.
It sure is, Marcellus. It was a great newscast this evening.
We'll stay close. The rundown is next with Clint Watson. Good night, everybody.
I don't know, but what kind of cars is this parking lot? You ain't even know where to park. Again, just don't park in the, look at this way. Like, you ain't get nowhere to go. Don't park him. Just don't park in the handicap spot. Yeah, that's handicap. No, man, you can't park in the handicap spot. I ain't gonna be that long. I ain't gonna be that long. Handicap spot, boy, what's going on, dog? I tell you we shouldn't park here now. This way park here, man. I tell you we shouldn't park here. Don't get one of these things. My bad big broke, and he got a sticker inside that say this mud though. We gotta move. This is a handicap spot. But we gotta move. We can move right now. Sorry.
Be considerate. Don't use disabled parking spaces without a decal in your vehicle. This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Delivering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marcellus Hall and LaDon Davis. Live, starting September 16th.
At Rusty Bethel Drive, I'm Paisol Forbes. This is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It has long been described as one of the giant creatures of government. The wheels that turn all too slowly, and the bureaucratic society that either stifles, pushes, or stops an administration's agenda. If you haven't guessed what I'm talking about yet, well, it's simply called the public service. The largest employment in the country has produced some of the best in workforce, while also sadly turning out some of the worst. Tonight, we talk to the woman whose responsibility it is to bring a new level of reform to this structure, while at the same time dealing with one of the largest stakeholders, the unions. Tonight, my guest is the Minister of Labor and Public Service, the Honorable Pia Glover-Roll, and we'll talk to her about that thing called the public service. But first, a major story breaking out of Grand Bahama tonight. The Freeport Container Port CEO, Alan Dixon, is out. He has resigned amid serious allegations. This after a team of auditors from the Hong Kong head office arrived to Grand Bahama to investigate a letter from employees raising concerns about Dixon's leadership. Our Raven Davis from our Northern Service is on that story tonight.
Our ZNS News team was the first to break the story, and just days later, we can confirm that Alan Dixon, the Chief Executive Officer of Freeport Container Port, has resigned. Now, this development follows a detailed letter from Freeport Container Port employees, which outlines serious allegations of nepotism and questionable business practices. Dixon's departure comes after some 3 years into the role.
It's as if a burden has been lifted up off of my shoulders, and for the people who work here at Container Port.
Employees of the Freeport Container Port sending a correspondence to ZNS News from the Human Resources Manager on Dixon's resignation. It reads, Mr. Alan Dixon has resigned from his position as CEO of Freeport Container Port and Freeport Harbor Company, effective immediately due to family reasons. We take the opportunity to thank Alan for his valuable contributions and wish him future success. While the reasons behind Dixon's resignation leaves much to be desired, in a recent communication, employees say they do not rejoice in his sudden departure, but regrettably, under his leadership, employee morale and productivity were at an all-time low.
Now it feels like there's hope, and the people now look ahead with anticipation of what's to come.
But they don't even know the amount of people quit because of mental and verbal abuse.
We only ask whoever takes the helm remembers that the company's greatest resource is the employees, and they should be treated fairly, with respect and dignity.
The letter, sent to various government officials back in August, alleges Dixon overspent and appointed his daughter to a position previously held by Bahamians. It also claims a foreign engineer was hired without the necessary work permits, and that some government officials allegedly received gifts to expedite immigration-related applications. PLP Chairman, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, now questioning who will succeed Dixon and what steps will be taken to ensure proper leadership and accountability moving forward.
It would certainly be our view from the Progressive Liberal Party that the next step ought to be the hiring of a competent Bahamian who will run the facility and carry out the objectives which the company said it was committed to.
Just last year, the FCP's decision to lay off 20 Bahamian workers at the Freeport Container Port was reversed following the swift intervention of Prime Minister Philip Davis. Mitchell says that's the foundation of the PLP, to stand up for the Bahamian people.
One thing you can say about the Progressive Liberal Party is that they act on behalf of the upliftment of the people of the country.
Now, once again, according to the HR department, Dixon's resignation is due to family reasons. However, earlier this month, an investigative team, including international auditors, compliance officers, and additional officials from Hong Kong, was assembled to further examine company practices. Now, of course, this is a story we will continue to follow. But for now, reporting from the Freeport Container Port for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Raven Davis. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Raven. Well, now, does anyone realize what just happened today? I mean, if you heard Raven's story, you understand what's happening. After continuous claims of poor treatment by employees, it turned out that there needed to be intervention for Bahamian workers who were reportedly suffering. You know, Bahamian workers will speak up if something's wrong, at least most of the times. Well, why did it take so long? And why wasn't there closer scrutiny sooner, right? Regardless of whatever that is, the reality is some action actually happened and we saw it come to a head and then resolution in the eyes of most people. It brings up the issue once again of foreign leadership in really pretty much wherever you work. If there's a leader who is foreign versus somebody who may be Bahamian, are they treating Bahamians correctly? Is there friction going on between there? So we still have this mentality that we're still once again on the plantation, working for a foreign person who treats you the way they want to treat you, and then you don't have any recourse for it. Or in this case in Grand Bahama, where the people spoke up several times and got someone to come in and monitor and see what was happening to Bahamian people. Now the jury is still out on what will happen in the long term and whether they will be replaced with somebody else foreign or somebody new. But it brings an issue up that I want to start off first our conversation tonight with the Minister of Labor and Public Service. And I think this is a good point to bring in Minister Pia Glover-Roll, the lovely Pia Glover-Roll. Welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Great to be on the rundown.
So it's interesting because we see what's happening in Grand Bahama, right? And it lends support to what we've been hearing people talk about all the time, whether foreign workers are treating Bahamians fairly or not. This isn't a new issue for the Ministry of Labor. You heard about it before. Did you take action when the reports were made to your ministry?
We took action immediately, not when reports were even made to our ministry, Clint, but when we heard the rumblings. We're taking a very proactive approach to labor. Our administration speaks to one of Bahamianization, ensuring that we're protecting our workers and ensuring that where there are complaints, that we immediately galvanize into action. Where there's the thought of a complaint or an issue in an establishment or an organization, that we immediately galvanize into action. And this is a multi-agency approach, Clint. This is the Department of Labor, in collaboration with the Bahamas Department of Immigration, working together to ensure that as we receive complaints, and let me say that all complaints don't make it to the media.
Right.
There are many complaints that we investigate, we act immediately and swiftly on, and we do what is necessary to relieve organizations and of these expatriates that are seen to be abusing Bahamian workers.
Are you saying that the government is not afraid to withdraw a work permit for somebody that you find is guilty of whatever the allegations are? The government will go to the extent of actually removing the work permit?
The government has gone to the extent of asking persons who are here on work permits, foreigners, expatriates, to wrap up their affairs, and we give a timeline in which they are allowed to leave. In some instances, it's immediate. In some instances, it's 7 days. In some instances, it's 21 days. It depends on how egregious the circumstances are. But this government, this administration, has been ensuring that foreigners are vacating positions and that the necessary Bahamian understudies are identified through the work of the Department of Labor to ensure that we are protecting our workers and protecting positions at the highest level for employees.
I'm glad you said that, because I was about to ask, is this the trade-off that we must accept for investments? That, you know, a lot of these top positions are being held by foreigners, and that's the agreement they make. If I'm going to come and spend my money in your country, I want to be allowed to bring in who I want to bring in to run my business, to run my affairs. Is the government putting its foot down and saying, okay, well, if that's the case, you want to do that, we need to make sure Bahamians are walking side by side so that at one point, if no Bahamian is qualified, there is ability to turn it over to Bahamian at some point of training and see that happen? Is that being protected for Bahamians to be able to grow in these sectors?
Absolutely, Clint. But prior to our administration taking office, there was no creation of an enforcement unit an extension, by that extension, a policy. We are launching in the Bahamas Department of Labor the first ever notice of vacancy policy enforcement unit, because we have to give these matters teeth.
Wow.
This ensures that while there are heads of agreement that speak to the fact that, yes, you may bring in expatriate workers and the level by which you can bring them in and the percentage by which you can bring them in, we have to also ensure that where there are Bahamians who are qualified, where there are Bahamians who are in country, who are able, equipped, and qualified to take on those positions, that they are given the opportunities, whether that's being an understudy or whether that's being identified in the first instance for those roles. The policy unit, the enforcement, is important because we've always said the notice of vacancy unit has always existed. We've always said that there should be an understudy. But who's monitoring? Who's ensuring that this is happening? Where is the accountability? So now we bring in the accountability factor.
That's amazing, because you know, you hear administrations talk about these plans and what we're going to put in place and how we're going to do this. And then you look at the enforcement, and there is none. It's nothing but rhetoric and talk. And so the fact that there's actually teeth on the comb gives hope that there's future in the country for Bahamians to advance in their professions and their careers and not have to seek it outside of the country.
Clint, we have, and no country, no administration is perfect. We are actually following the steps that are necessary to improve our ratings with the ILO. When we were assessed, it was determined that our monitoring and evaluation is not where it should be in terms of our programs. We have the programs in place. We have the policies in place in some instances, but we're not doing a good job as a country in terms of monitoring and evaluation. Well, we decided in the Bahamas Department of Labor that when the ILO comes to assess us in 2025, that our scores will be improved in that area.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, I call it the creature, the public service. We're going to talk about the public service. The reform that you're trying to bring, is it working, or is this mountain larger than you can actually cross over? We'll talk about it. You're watching The Rundown with the Minister of Labor and Public Service. We're back after this. Take a look.
JMC-TCI and Sunset Village Fish Fry present I'm a Boatman, featuring KB and Fred, D-Mac, Tino D, Nishi Ellis, Sweet Emily, Wilfred Sullivan, Funky D, DVS, Veronica Bishop, Papa Smurf, Sherrod Taylor, Lil Joe Cartwright, Mama D, Colin McDonough, Chad Cully, and the VIP. And from Turks Island, the Proficient Band, and host Super P. There'll also be performances by The Swinger and the Platinum Nights Junkanoo Group. Sunday, October 13th at Sunset Village Fish Fry, 8 Mile Rock. Sponsored by the Ministry for Grand Bahama and the Ministry of Tourism.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marcellus Hall and LaDon Davis. Live, starting September 16th.
That's the bearer of the Bahamas.
Welcome back to the Rundown. My guest is the Minister of Public Service, Minister of Labor and Public Service, Pia Global Role. And I want to say welcome to, of course, the Lion's Den, because I see you out there on social media. Now, there's somebody who's purporting to be a member of the Lion's Den. I know you ain't, and I'm going to call you out because you want to go ahead and comment online. Mr. Desmond B. Williams. Now, we know that you have an agenda, Mr. Williams, so you're commenting online and say, we're talking about accountability and people who mistreat their employees. Didn't ZNS just have a protest against the GM of ZNS? He made it seem like only foreign companies mistreated Bahamians back when he himself is doing it to the ZNS workers. First of all, you don't work for ZNS, so clearly you don't know what's going on here. And if you need to know what's going on here, come around right in time now. Matter of fact, come on down now, talk to any of the employees around here, and you ask them about their time here at ZNS. Of course, he's obviously doing his propaganda and then says, I'm out, BTH is calling me. Yeah, you go there. Please, go there. That's your kind of people. Go there. All right? So welcome to the decent people who are online and who want to talk sensibly and have a decent conversation about what's going on in our country and not to have agendas and be sidetracked. This is the Rundown, and I will address you. I will address you. If you come on this feed and talk foolishness, I will address you. So make sure what you're talking is actually facts, because I will address you. All right, good. Thank you, Minister. That's a little bit of housekeeping we're going to have to do in a rundown to make sure that we keep the standard high, yes, and we raise the level and keep it professional. We're talking about challenges in the public service now. And of course, you have been tasked with bringing reform to the public service, not because the administration that you are part of believes it's a good thing to do, but because the Bahamian people have been demanding for a higher level of professionalism in the public service. People want to know they're paying taxes or they come to a government agency for a service, that they're met with great customer care, that they can get the service that they're seeking to get in a timely fashion and with a degree of professionalism. Let's start right there. How are we changing and revolutionizing as Bahamians the public service to ensure that the best and brightest represent the public service in dealing with the Bahamian people?
Well, Clint, we have a lot of work to do, but a lot of work has been done.
Yeah.
We came in, and first of all, you have to assess before you can create a strategy. And our assessment came through a public service-wide audit, determining what are the needs in terms of human resources, in terms of operations, in terms of training, in terms of how do we lift the morale, which now transcends into the service that is given to the external customer. And why is it a slow process? Why is the bureaucracy exist? Why are employees unhappy? And of course, that is reciprocated to the customer.
Yeah.
So we had to find out the whys, and then we got to work. We ensured that we assessed, and you would have heard me say it so many times in my House of Assembly contributions, our square pegs and square holes are round pegs and round holes.
Yeah, yeah.
In many instances, because of a lack of succession planning, because of a lack of training, because of a lack of orientation, because you have to set employees up to win. So when you bring employees in, you have to ensure that they have the direction that they need to succeed. We immediately got to work on changing and reforming a number of policies, a number of programs, and a number of systems within the public service. That includes how we onboard our public service professional engagement program that was formerly the 52-week program. And it's all in a name. Yeah. So now we've rebranded it to the Public Service Professional Engagement Program, because we are engaging professionals and we expect professionalism out of our employees. And we're not going to compromise on the standard. That means that some persons who weren't making the standard had to be shifted or had to leave. And we make no apologies for that. Clint, it also means that as we bring in these new employees, we have an orientation that explains to them that the culture that you thought you were coming to no longer exists. We're recreating, we're reforming, we're revising, and we're ensuring that we're leading a professional organization. We had a number of people who say, well, they just want a government job because they want to come to work and not work. Well, not on this watch.
Yep.
And that's how we're raising the bar, and we're hearing that there are better reports of service levels within the public service. Then we address training. And while there are gaps in training, on the flip side, there are public servants who are the highest qualified people in our nation.
Yeah.
I don't want people to have the perception that public servants are at the low end of the educational totem pole. Absolutely not. We have public servants with master's degrees and all levels of degrees who are working in our public service. We are enforcing a culture of continual learning and upskilling and training. That's a cultural shift, but that lends to the big one, promotions. Promotions that are earned because in many instances, persons are already performing the work, but not have been assigned to the positions that they are performing in terms of being placed in the roles and being paid for those roles. That speaks to succession planning, and that also speaks to ensuring that we're placing public servants on career paths. A career path doesn't speak to a job, it speaks to a long-term career where you are sewing into an operation or an organization like the public service or the department or ministry you're attached to. So the perception that public servants are, the lower qualified is absolutely erroneous. Then we speak to how do we address the bureaucracy of keeping persons in limbo for so long?
Years.
Decades.
Oh my goodness.
Decades old backlog. So when you hear we speak about the addressing the backlog of issues, that's thousands of issues across the country that is being addressed. But we still have the analog system of paper files. We still have the bureaucracy because we're governed by policies that I'll speak to those policies, but we're also working from a system that's not digitalized. So immediately we began a process of digitalization. Which has been a wonderful process so far. It's twofold. First of all, it's the digitalization in terms of document management, ensuring that all those paper files that you always see us working on are going to go away very soon. Scanning and ensuring that documents are uploaded digitally. Additionally, we are working hand in hand with the Ministry of Finance. The Financial Secretary and his team are leading the charge. And we are working in a comprehensive way, Clint, because we're ensuring that as we digitalize our human resource management services, we also digitalize our financial management services because accounts and human resources go hand in hand. This is to help with the efficiency of the process. We have brought in special task force to, while we're doing the day-to-day work in public service, because the backlog is so significant, we have to ensure that we're bringing in focus groups that are going to work specifically on the issues. So this is a lot that's going on. But Clint, we have policies that are actually causing the stagnation. Our Public Service Act was enacted in 1967. Our Industrial Relations Act was enacted in 1971. These are the policies that are still governing us. Our human resource policy within the public service was recently updated by the former minister, D. Shane Gibson, in 2017, still a ways back, and the Employment Act 2001. So we're managing a public service with policies and legislation that doesn't speak to the model of the public service that exists today.
No wonder the challenges exist because you're being governed by something that no longer is relevant to today's time.
That's having a TV that you're using the remote for that is not for the other TV.
I want to take a question for one of our online viewers, and that's Riviana Smith. And she says, the question for the minister is, what is the procedure if a customer encounters unprofessional public servants?
Absolutely. We have a number of procedures. First of all, if it is a specific ministry, there's a customer service area within every ministry or department. There's levels as well. If you find that you cannot access the customer service unit of a particular ministry, including the Ministry of Public Service, which all of our ministries are now moving into the 21st century and have social media platforms that are responded to by public servants. So then you can write in digitally, if you wish, to the permanent secretary of the ministry, who is the technical head, who will then give you the recourse that's necessary. But we want to hear the feedback, because it's through the feedback that we're able to design the training that is specific to the needs of that specific ministry or department.
Let's talk about how you determine. We've seen pictures of you online working all hours of the night. That's piled right up with files, being able to approve people's promotions, people's reclassification, and so forth. How do you determine whose file makes your desk? Is it you got to be PLP? Is it you got to be your champion in your corner with the pom-pom cheering you on? Or is it based on credentials and recommendations? How do you determine which file makes your desk? Because I'm sure, I say that because people probably sit on this thinking, yeah, they're getting their people straight.
No, they say the opposite.
Oh, they're not getting the people straight.
I've seen a comment that says they only promote me F&Ms. Well, first of all, no file within the public service has a political flag attached.
Not a symbol. It ain't like the one you see have an oil mark. That's PLP. No. The one without is F&M. Okay.
As we receive, the Ministry of Public Service works on recommendations from the various ministries and departments throughout the country. As we receive recommendations, we are processing them. However, we've taken a more comprehensive approach than the norm. If we are processing your file for a promotion, we are now taking a more comprehensive look, analyzing the file to determine is there any other human resource matter that we needed to clear up, and we're taking those files to the commission, the Public Service Commission, with all matters to be addressed. I don't know whose files are on my desk. As they come, I work on them and I sign them off. And believe it or not, that is causing an issue too, because someone would say, well, I came in 2005 and this person came in 2015 and they got confirmed before me. As the files come to our desks, we are signing off and processing them through. What I am finding is that persons who have been in the service longer and have been waiting longer, it's more difficult to access all of their documents. And so, as many public service employees have lamented, and public servants, man, I brought these documents in before. Bear with us, this should be your final time. Why? Because we're digitizing and we should not have to receive your documents again. Also, we are building files on some persons whose files we cannot even locate. But that doesn't stop us from wanting to ensure that we are handling your matters and we're getting you your issues resolved, and that we're taking our public servants out of this place of limbo. Some have been in for decades, some have been in for years, and some have been in for months.
Wow.
We process based on what we receive, how we receive them, and we're expediting as best as possible, and we've already processed thousands of files in the last 3 years, but of course, there's thousands more to go.
I'm sure. Before we go to a break, I want to get Aaron Reckley's question in. I think they just moved, there we go. Aaron Reckley's asking about the Public Holiday Act. Was this act created just for people who work in a certain department or weekdays? I don't know if you understand what that means.
The Employment Act speaks to workers throughout the country, whether that is public or private sector, and all labor is governed by the Employment Act. And outside of that, if your organization signs an industrial agreement, that also speaks to the terms and conditions of your employment.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. I see you, Berkeley, saying my mama's been waiting for 10 years. Berkeley saying, help my mama. Good night, my mother have been waiting for over 10 years. Berkeley, highly favored young. Pre-K, highly favored young. Say his mother been waiting for 10 years. And of course, a lot of comments here about you doing an excellent job, people supporting you, PF for Progress. They're on there giving you praises. We have some other hard questions we're going to put to the minister. We'll be back after this. Stay close.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No. Let me go check it out.
Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs. Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the sunshine room.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But Have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look.
We're still your most trusted source for news and information.
That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
We have more than anyone else. We are the most. We are news leaders, and credibility is the order of the day.
Why don't you come to the most? Only the sun can cover you better than our new digital product with exclusive stories and entertaining content.
We are the most. Community TV page and radio community announcements. The most viewers and listeners in the country.
We have the most years of the human history recorded. There's no archive like ours.
I came back home to bring you even more news and local programming. We're simply the most, the new ZNS.
Hey everyone, it's your boy Vontae, and welcome back to another episode of The Drop. Keep going.
2 minutes to airtime. I came back home to make sure you have the most in news and entertainment. We're simply the most.
And I came back home to make sure that you have the most in information, education, entertainment, and inspiration. We're simply the most. The new ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better. Welcome back. We're talking about the Ministry of Labor and Public Service with the good minister, Pia Global Roll. I see Mr. Roll is online in the Lion's Den. Mr. says, thank you, Mr. Watson. Now I have a show that I can watch and know the truth and facts will be told. You got it right. We're going to give you the truth and the facts, whether you want to like it or not. We're going to always err on the side of truth and give it to you. So welcome to all of you who are online and, of course, joining us in the Lion's Den. I see Neil Rokers asking, as a minister responsible for the public service, what are ways technology is being utilized to enhance your ministry? Neil Roker, that's a very good question. Let's give that to the minister first.
We are embracing technology in the Ministry of Labor and Public Service. We believe that efficiency and effectiveness is tied to technology. We are also embracing the triple transition that the world is embracing when it comes to labor. That includes climate action, that includes social justice, which comes through our tripartite relations, but that includes digitalization. We don't have a choice anymore but to move into a digital age, unless our public service and many of our systems will come to a complete halt. So we are embracing through our digitalization efforts in both the Ministry of Labor and Public Service. We are embracing from a whole of government approach in terms of our Cloud Bahamas Oracle systems, the HR, MIS, and financial management information systems. But you will also see that many other ministries and departments are now creating online services because we want to make it more convenient to serve our customers. We want to allow for greater accountability. We want to allow for transparency in services, but we also want to ensure effective and efficient service, and that's how we're tying all of our government services in to one central database that we are, and I know people have complained, oh, I go to the passport office and they ask for my document, and then I go across to NIB. We're looking at it from a comprehensive approach where there'll be a tie-in of systems so that customers, our Bahamian people, won't have to be producing the same documents repeatedly, that there'll be one central database.
So Margaret McKinney, I want to get her question in. Dear Minister of Labor, please explain why it takes in excess of 3 months to receive a confirmation letter regarding a request of extension of time for a matter to be heard at the Department of Labor from your ministry. In the past, it would take 7 days. She says, thank you.
Well, that sounds like a specific matter, because there are instances where it can take longer than that, and in most instances it's as a result of due diligence. We don't just issue extensions, we ensure that there is due diligence that takes place. We ensure that we're checking and balancing, and we're ensuring that all of our ducks are in a row. So processes tend to take a little longer, usually require a little more due diligence, but we are also working to put those services online so that we can speed up the process, and in turn, maybe we can decrease even from the 7-day turnaround.
All right. We have a lot of Bahamians who go to school, go to university, get their degrees, and then go work for companies in the United States or elsewhere, probably because they get these big salary offers. What are we doing to attract Bahamians to come home? And is there something to come home to? Public service is the largest employer, but it's filled with so many people who've been there for that's their only job. They've been there for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. How do you make room for young, educated people who can contribute to the modernization of the public service if people are just sitting there, they're parked there, because most of them can't retire or not prepared to retire because they don't have nothing to live off of when they retire? How are we making room for new talent to come into the public service? And the second part of that, are they being embraced? When you bring new people in, you know, those people get a little territorial and say, well, would they bring these new people in here again? I can't get my promotion, but they could pay new people. You know, not that I've heard that before anywhere, but just saying, how are you addressing that?
Clint, that speaks directly to succession planning. I'm sure you have heard even the unions lament that, okay, well, how are we making space for the people at the bottom? Because of, we start from foundation level. Because of the backlog of promotions in our public service, we created a hollow middle. So you have people at the bottom and you have people at the top. So when the people at the top come to attrition out, there's no middle.
Right.
Because we haven't accessed the promotions that we should have been accessing in the time frames that they should have been. So now we've created this hollow middle. And there's no need to attrition out, or there's no desire to attrition out, because no proper succession planning has happened. Well, we are addressing that strategically in our legislative reform in particular, because we have to ensure that we are making room at all levels for persons that are required, and we ensuring that the persons at the top levels are ensuring understudies are understanding their roles. But that comes back to monitoring and evaluation. We have to manage our organizations and our employees. It doesn't happen on its own. We have to have strategic structures in place. We have to ensure that as we're identifying career paths and as we're opening establishments, and that's a term that means how many persons are required for a specific spot or position in a ministry, that we're training persons to go to the next level, that we're encouraging persons to upskill to be able to move to the next level. I think there was a gap in that happening in our public service, where it almost was just wheels were turning on their own. So now we've taken in every ministry and every department a strategic approach to career paths, succession planning, and ensuring that as persons attrition out, and of course we have persons that have come back in, that we're now creating the spaces that are required through training and the ability to allow those at the top to attrition out. We still have persons that are there who have come back because they simply have the institutional knowledge that we now have to manage and ensure that they're passing it on to those persons that are
I'm glad you raised that.
Them.
You say you just need to bring some people back because of the institutional knowledge. Let me gingerly say this.
No, don't say it gingerly.
Why are we bringing people back when they don't retire? Is there nobody who can take it to the next level? I mean, I say that respectfully because I understand there are some people that, like you said, because of the gaps that have been in there, no one did not pass it on. But ain't that their responsibility before they go to make sure they train somebody to pass it on to? Sometimes it becomes very frustrating when you see institutions that are bringing back the same people who've retired, gotten their benefits, and then you bring them back as a consultant and they make a separate salary from those in the public service. That affects morale. Because people say, well, why are you bringing back the same people who've already benefited from the system and have moved on? Can we get around doing that?
Clint, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That speaks to a failure in the system.
Yeah.
It simply speaks to a failure in the system. It speaks to lack of accountability. It speaks to, and I'm sorry, I apologize in advance to the public servants, but it speaks to putting persons in positions of management and supervision to supervise others without the proper skills, training to do so.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I'm not ashamed to say it, but it's my role. Is our role in the Ministry of Labor and Public Service to fix that issue. It's a huge training issue. So yes, we have had to bring back persons for institutional knowledge, but we have attached to them persons at lower levels who will be able to assimilate that information so that we can stop this habit of having to bring people. Everybody does not want to come back out of retirement, but in some instances they have had to because of that gap that's existed. We have to close the gap. We're doing it. We're doing it through the promotions. We're doing it through the upskilling. We're doing it through the retooling. The National Training Agency is a department that falls under my ministry, is playing its part. We have implemented a leadership training at the National Training Agency, an excellent program, because you can't just promote people into positions because it's the next step if they're not trained and skilled.
And everybody ain't trained to lead people. That's a special skill and calling to lead people.
Precisely.
Not because it's your next position to move up, should you move in that position.
So that speaks to how we qualify persons for the role. That there are assessments, there are qualifications, but most importantly, there has to be training. But this speaks to where there were gaps in the management of our public service. It's a huge creature, you called it, but it's a huge creature that at some instances was managing itself, was running on cruise control maybe, and an organization has to be hands-on managed. And that's where we are today, ensuring that we're managing the process, identifying the gaps, and finding the solutions to fill those gaps.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to put a question to you. What happens when you get that call from your colleague that says, take care of my people? What do? You're watching Rundown. We're back after this. Stay close.
JS Event, JMC TCI, and Sunset Village Fish Fry present I'm a Boatman, featuring Kami and Fred, D-Mac, Tino D, Nishi LS, Sweet Emily, Wilfred Sullivan, Funky D, DVS, Veronica Bishop, Papa Smurf, Sherrod Taylor, Lil Joe Cartwright, Mama D, Colin McDonough, Chad Cully, and the VIP. And from Turks Island, the Proficient Band, and host Super P. There'll also be performances by The Swinger and the Platinum Nights Junkanoo Crew. Sunday, October 13th at Sunset Village Fish Fry, 8 Mile Rock.
Sponsored by the Ministry for Grand Bahama and the Ministry of Tourism.
We seem to remember our athletes when they make us proud at the finish line. A Junkanoo parade when they return home, toss them a few dollars. And then forget about them until the next Members of the prestigious Fourth Estate should never sell themselves to any politician. Instead, keep their hands and noses clean in order to publish or broadcast the unadulterated truth. Well, that's how I see it anyway.
Read as I see it, exclusively at ZNSBahamas.com. New articles premiere on Mondays at 9 a.m.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better. beginning Monday, September 16th. It's the new lineup of ZNS News and Current Affairs, 6 p.m. It's What's Trending, Lifestyles in the Afternoon with Stacey Campbell Marshall, 6:30. We head to the north for the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition, 7 p.m. It's the Bahamas Tonight National Report, followed by the Bahamas Tonight Access, now at 7:30. Then at 8 p.m., your nightly news analysis show, The Rundown, with Clint Watson, and 11 p.m., the Bahamas Tonight at 11 with Royston Jones. It's a full lineup of the new ZNS, and it starts Monday, September 16th. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back to The Rundown, the only source and true source of real information and news that you can find live at this hour. We're so happy, ooh, that was low. We're so happy to have you all joining us here, especially those of you who are in the Lion's Den. It's so good to have you all here. And y'all comments are so tempting. I want to read some of them so bad. Y'all have me cracking up. I'm laughing. Y'all are real people, the real deal. So, I asked before the break, Minister, what happens when your colleagues, because people are enjoying you, you're talking and they can hear your passion about reforming the public service, and you have the ducks in a row, you have the plan, you're executing the plan, but then wait, you get a phone call from your colleague. No, hey, Pia, I have 6 people I need to take care of and get them sorted out, eh? You know, I need my people to take care of. What do you say to them when the people show up and you recognize they ain't no fit for you? You barely have any qualification or skills. What do we do with you?
So first of all, there's the perception that the public service hires everyone for every ministry. The public service is the human resources arm of the government. We process applications, but most people apply through the ministries or the departments that they will be attached to. And those PSC7 forms come to the ministry and we process them. Specific hiring and engagement at the Ministry of Public Service is our PSPEP program, excuse me, which is our reformed 52-week program. That is how the Public Service Ministry does direct hiring. All other hiring comes through ministries or departments. But I will say that we have stated qualifications for roles. Now, there is a role that's called a general service worker.
I hear that often.
Clint, I do not, I'm so sorry, but I do not like that role because it doesn't, that title, because it doesn't give you a specific task.
Right.
And if you don't have a specific task, you don't have a specific trajectory for your career. So that is something that we're looking at reforming. But anyone that comes into the public service has to fit into a category, a post or position based on their qualifications and that are aligned with the requirements for that role. Otherwise, you would fall in a general service worker post, which would come in most instances, through our 52-week program. We've temporarily put that program, PSPEP, on hold because we're right-sizing it. So you may have heard comments that persons had orientation and now there's been a pause. That is correct. You cannot keep filling something and the bottom foundation is falling out. So what we've determined, along with the Ministry of Finance, is that we're going to right-size our PSPEP program. Let's look at the former name, 52-week. Why is it that we have employees who are 52-week employees and they've been on the program for 15 years?
Could they have an MP who keep getting reelected?
Because we aren't doing our job to regularize those employees. Take them out of that state of limbo and put them on a trajectory for a career in the public service. So,
and chances are then that program, and all these years, they're probably making the same money on that program.
They are absolutely making minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
Which is unfair to that employee. When are we going to set them on a course for a career within the public service? So at this time, and I would have stated this in my budget contribution, we aren't taking on any 52-week PSPEP workers, because our last cohort, we took on about 300, 10% of which were persons with disabilities, and we're so proud of that, ensuring that we're modeling the behavior and showing the country that persons with disabilities have a place in the workplace as well. But we're ensuring that we right-size this program, we regularize those persons who have been on the program historically, we set them on the right careers, and then we come back. We're going to start from ground zero and start to fill gaps based on our public service audit in the public service by people that we need. We're not going to hire people because we want to hire people. We need to hire people to fill roles that exist, and that's at all levels. So our public service professional engagement program has been designed where we do have entry-level persons who are minimally skilled, and there's also persons that are with degrees that we welcome in that program at a higher level. So my colleagues know that
you give me a politician answer just now.
My colleagues know that their recommendations have to fit in the criteria of the policy that's required, because we as a team are building a better public service.
We had to go to a break, and I want to take this for one person asking, what are the qualifications as they go to the break? She's saying, what are the qualifications of a janitress? I got this. The qualifications of a janitress first must be, you must know how to clean. We're back after this.
Our marine resources were once considered inexhaustible. Conch and reef fish like grouper were abundant everywhere, and it seemed as if the lobster catch would rise forever. But today, there is a downward trend that affects everyone. Researchers say we can reverse the trend by protecting more marine habitats. And the good news is that most Bahamians strongly support efforts to halt further decline. Tripling the size of our network of marine parks will mean more fish and conch for everyone, now and for the future, as well as more recreational and ecotourism opportunities. Today, only 10% of our waters are protected. Surveys show that most Bahamians consider protection of our marine environment to be a top national priority. More protection means more benefits for everyone, now and in the future. It's a win-win-win strategy for the economy, for Bahamians, and for nature. Protect our sea, protect our way of life, protect the Bahamas. See the future. Visit Bahamas Protected on Facebook to learn more about marine protected areas.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marcellus Hall and LaDon Davis. Live, starting September 16th.
It's time to grow your church. Time to extend your message to all the islands in the Bahamas, into the Turks and Caicos Islands, and to the world via the ZNS app and website. It's time to broadcast your church's services on ZNS TV. To help you with that, ZNS has some exciting new packages with very good prices. It's time to call 502-3813 for details.
Welcome back to the Rundown. I'm going to take another question from the Lion's Den. Faith Maycock is asking, what is being done to ensure that once civil servants have retired, they don't have to wait for a year or longer before they can receive their gratuity? People got to wait for a year or longer?
Longer.
Wow.
And I don't like it. We don't like it, Clint. So we have put a focused approach in the Ministry of Public Service and increased our team to ensure that that is happening. You've heard the statement attributed public servants that they fell through the crack. How can a whole human being fall through the crack?
Exactly.
And if that human being don't show up for work, they ain't gonna fall through the crack because you can say, well, how come you weren't at work?
Exactly.
People work, they should be paid. The public service issues a letter to say retirement is imminent. So you know they're leaving. We know they're leaving. So why is it that public servants have had to wait these extenuating periods for their gratuity?
Yeah.
It cannot continue to happen. We've been addressing it. Persons reach out to me personally, and we've been ensuring that we expedite it through a focused unit. However, we have to ensure that not only are we persons being processed, handled in an expeditious time, but we have to ensure that these benefits that they're entitled to, they shouldn't even have to come and ask for them because we know who we're processing. But I will say that the digitized system is going to do a lot to assist with that. Because yes, it is as a result in some instances of waiting for a file or not receiving a file or not even knowing that this matter is outstanding. So I've encouraged persons who are waiting. We've been doing an excellent job in clearing the backlog of persons who are waiting for gratuities, but I will say to that tax writer that no one should have to wait that long. Their gratuity should be made available immediately.
You mentioned in Parliament during your budget communication about a reform that's happening for pension.
Yes.
Give us an update on what's going on with that for public servants.
Clinton, the first year in office, we improved the pensions of our pensioners, and now we are working with the Ministry of Finance and specifically the Minister of Economic Affairs on a contributory pension plan. Our Attorney General's team and his team are drafting the legislation. We look forward to bringing that to Parliament very soon, where we will speak to a contributory pension plan being implemented. Our current model, the permanent and pensionable establishment, as everybody is familiar with, is no longer sustainable. We have exceeded the establishment, and we now need to supplement. This contributory pension plan will also allow for improved benefits for pensioners because now they have the ability to supplement their own pension other than what the government is providing. Additionally, it is the goal that the pension will be mobile, which means that you're no longer tied to staying with the public service after you've been vested because you gotta keep your pension. It is the goal that this pension will be mobile, and it is to allow for improved conditions for pensioners after the attrition out of the system.
Minister, we've almost out of time, but I have to ask this. I ask it to all ministers. You're a minister, but you're also a member of Parliament.
Yes.
How are you balancing both in keeping the needs of your constituency addressed while taking on the public service?
Nothing happens without a team, Clint. Everyone should know that as ministers, we don't do this on our own. It takes a great team. I am blessed and fortunate in the Ministry of Labor and Public Service to have a great team of competent employees and support, great technical teams, an amazing permanent secretary, an amazing director of labor, a labor relations unit, and special task force that help me do the work. On the flip side, I have an amazing team in Golden Gates, and I am an MP first. I can't be anything.
No,
I can't be a
if you don't
minister
take
if
care
I'm
of
not an
them,
MP.
you ain't gonna be nothing. Nothing.
I must say that when I'm not on the ground, I'm on the ground in Golden Gate. When I'm not in the jurisdiction, I'm still there because of the presence of an amazing team that ensures that as I've casted the vision, that it's carried through to constituents and to public servants and to the greater community in terms of labor.
I see a question I have to take from Janelle Mitchell. She says, are increments for civil servants automatic or performance-based? Child, it depends on your work, because sometimes it's both. Go ahead, though.
First of all, increments is a tool within public service that was put in place to help public servants absorb the costs of living. Under the former administration, it was ceased. We immediately brought it back because we realized the Bahamas is a nation that is a consumer nation. We're not a producer. We're working towards that with our 25 by 2025 in terms of lowering our food import. However, we are ensuring that with increments that public servants are able to feel a little cushion in the cost of living. So we immediately brought that back. Increments are a right of public servants based on the policy. So in some instances, people are at their bars because, you know, they have not been promoted.
Correct.
In some instances, they don't qualify based on the category of employment. And in some instances, the Industrial Relations Act will speak to how increments are applied. But I am proud to say one of the first things that this administration has done is returned increments to public servants to help with the cost of living increase that we're experiencing in our nation as a result of hyperinflation that is global.
I got to stop right there because they're giving me the wrap-up, and of course they're in charge. So I have to take instructions from them. There are so many more questions online, and I'm sure if you know Minister Global Role, she'll get those. She'll go online and she'll answer some of those. How people answer those questions. I'm so happy to have the lines and so active and participating. We appreciate it. That's our show. We got a doozy for you tomorrow night. You want to be back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us here in the Rundown. Don't forget to join us at 11 o'clock tonight for the Bahamas Night at 11 with Royce and Jones. Thanks to my guests, the Minister of Labor and the Public Service, the Honorable Pia Global Role. Thank you. You were simply amazing tonight.
Thank you,
and we know we feel your heart and your passion. Thanks for watching. Good night, everyone. At the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, I'm Clint Watson, and this is ZNS.
The Bible states that a good man is one who leaves an inheritance for his children's children and their children. On this episode of The Legal Brief, we'll be discussing probates. Is it worth it or not? We'll provide answers to your questions.